Nintendo dropped patch 3.1 a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to go over my thoughts of all the characters in the game in order because I already had a 3.0 tier list and then the patch came out as I was editing it and I'm like, oh, I guess I get to do this again with just the adjustments from the nerfs and the buffs from this patch. So let us get into it. I'm going to be going bottom up, and if you want to know any of the specific tiers, I will be listing the tiers in the description with timestamps so you can jump around because this video is going to be quite long. And I feel like I say this in every tier list, but it is important to mention this is just my opinion and it is not going to be a results-based tier list. This is what I think. This is like the theory craft or like applicable theory craft, because there's difference between like Shulk is the best character in the game because he can frame perfect switches arts and blah 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 blah. Like that's not applicable, but you know, I do think that there's more to this game than just the results of this game, and so my tier list is not going to be based on results. It is just my opinion. And something I want to note is while I am going to put definitive numbers on these characters, it is still really easy for characters like on a day-to-day basis or even a week-to-week basis to change. You know, at the lower end, like 2 to 4 to 5 spots, but then at the upper end, probably like 1 to 2 to 3 spots. So it is not like definitive. It's not like, oh my god, the 39th best character is like so much better than the 40th best character. And so just keeping that in mind and what I've already said, let's just go into it. To get things started, I think the worst character in the game is Piranha Plant. This character has so few tools. He has a mediocre down throw that stops comboing after like 20 to 30%. He has an abusable recovery, even though it does go far. He has very minimal combos, pretty mediocre hitboxes. His kill potential is pretty good if you land the right hits, and yes, he does have Patui, which is one of the best projectiles in the entire game, which is crazy because he has like a top 10 neutral B and he is still the worst character in the game. He is so bad. He is so futile. He's heavy and he's fast volley, so you can get combos on him forever, and his weight doesn't even matter just because characters can just bully him because all of his hitboxes that are good are slow and all of his hitboxes that are fast are mediocre at best, or you can SDI out of them or you can fall out of them, and then like up air doesn't work and like back air is impossible to hit, and how are you ever supposed to hit any of his smash attacks? Like this character just doesn't have anything that cohesively makes a kit. He just kind of has okay moves here and there and then some very good moves, but it does not make a character, even less so than any other character in the entire game, which is crazy to me because we have characters that are coming up that I feel like don't work even a little bit for themselves. Kirby is also fairly pathetic in this game with very minimal combos other than the low percent combos, you know, just very obvious game plans that this character wants. You know, platforms can ruin combos, platforms can ruin throws, you know, just a really abusable disadvantage state because of how slow he is in the air. It doesn't even matter that he has multiple jumps, and just Kirby can edgeguard characters pretty well. Like if you have a linear recovery, Kirby will be able to spike you, will be able to back air you, but that's basically all the character has. Maybe a decent matchup versus Pichu, who's in the top tier, spoilers, and like that's kind of about it. Kirby just gets outclassed, outweighed, out comboed, out damaged, and just out survivability, out mobility. Like the fact that Kirby can just be outclassed in speed by Little Mac in the air just proves how futile it is to play this character. You really have to outplay the ever-loving crap out of your opponent to beat anyone as Kirby, or get very, very particular matchups that Kirby can abuse the person's disadvantage state, because otherwise I just don't think this character has anything. I was the most wrong about King K. Rool that I've been wrong about any character in any game ever in terms of a tier list, because this character, well, first off, got nerfed, you know, pretty early, and that really did hurt him a lot, but even then, the counterplay to this character I feel like is fairly obvious. He has very obvious game plans, a lot of holes in his game plan, and he just is fairly underwhelming unless you really don't know what you're doing against this character. But even if you don't, sometimes he just still takes 90 because he got hit, and you accidentally hit him on the back of his shell for his back because he doesn't have super armor there when he does like his falling neutral there. Like this character's disadvantage is super obvious and punishable. This character's recovery is super obvious and punishable. If you don't know what you're doing, check out my anti-King K. Rool guide I made forever ago. This character just is literally 100% a gimmick, and you can get gimmicked out, but in a tournament setting you're gonna find more people that know how to deal with your character than you are characters that won't, especially considering how big of a deal K. Rool was at the beginning. So I can't put him anywhere. I have a question for Sakurai. why did you nerf Isabel this last patch? She was already one of the worst characters in the game, and then you made her even worse by, first off, in 3.0, making her forward air and back air less safe on shield and doing less damage, but now her fishing rod is worse again after you actually buffed it. I don't know why they hate this character so much. I feel like she has so many potential possibilities to be like different than Villager, and they just make her blatantly worse in every way. She still doesn't have a crazy strong kill move like Bowling Ball or Tree that can threaten you at any time. She doesn't have really anything other than like, whoops, you kind of literally ran into her down B, even though you can like proc it or hit it or run over it as most characters, and then got like, you know, fishing rod up there at like 60% because she footstooled off of you. Like, that's literally it. Otherwise, she's just very underwhelming as a zoner, as a close quarter combat character. She just struggles to do anything, and then I still don't actually know how this character's supposed to kill other than with like her fishing rod and forward throw. Like, that's it. I think that's like the whole character. She's too floaty to exhibit pressure. She's too light to really be like, oh, I'm just gonna maintain my position and not die. You know, her recovery is too exploitable. She doesn't have the ability to have Lloyd Rocket to protect herself either in neutral or in disadvantage or off stage. So yeah. I don't know why people give me so much flack for thinking Robin is as bad as they are, because I think Robin is a bottom 5 to bottom 7 character. This character is atrocious. Doesn't have Levin Sword at the beginning of the game, so if you get rushed down, you can potentially just die without really a real way to defend yourself. This character has holes on edge trapping, on approaching, because a lot of characters can either jump and punish and or crouch under the thunder. Fire is punishable because it's still pretty slow, even though it's a decent edge trapping tool nowadays. You know, you don't have any real kill confirms other than hitting arc fire, so you pretty much have to out neutral a bunch of people with limited uses of your neutral tool, whether that is fire or thunder or sword, and then if you run out of one of them, you now have way less options, and the game against your character gets a lot more simplified. And because Robin's recovery is good, like, it goes far, but it's exploitable, you know, you can hit your opponent offstage over and over again and get those kills, and yeah, sure, in that time you might get Levin Sword back, but it's just underwhelming as a whole in general. Like, you're not scared of grab, you're not scared of just staying on the ground unless you know you can't react to arc fire or them throwing thunder. Like, it's so tragic that this character got so nerfed. It already wasn't even that good in Smash 4, just checkmate was crazy and you would get kills at 70 to 90% depending on the character, but now this character has to really hit arc fire to get a kill, or hit a ledge trap to get a kill, or just like raw read your short hops with like short hop forward air. But again, if you're patient against this character, you bait the players out for doing what they want to do, which is just kill you with their Levin Sword at 130. Now if they don't have it, they lose so many options. And yes, this character does have a couple good gimmicks, like back throw Thoron, like, you know, arc fire into up air, but for the most part, as characters, you should just be playing patient and slow against this character, and Robin really does crumble with slow play, so I think actually abysmal. Dr. Mario may have a lot of stuff and a lot of cool things in Advantage State, but this character is too slow with a recovery too exploitable to really be any higher than this. I really don't feel like Doc has anything in terms of neutral that is amazing other than Pill, because short hop back air, short hop nair, short hop fair, cyclone, everything is punishable on shield for this character. It doesn't matter what move it is punishable by the majority of the cast. You don't get enough damage when you get your hits because this character's up air kind of sends out, and you really can't get a lot guaranteed. You get like up throw back air, and that's like 28 or something like that, and then you have to somehow win neutral again as Dr. Mario, which is basically impossible because this character is so slow, so floaty, and this character just struggles to do anything against even like mid tiers or other low tiers. Like, it's crazy. Like, the one good thing this character has is like down throw cyclone, but even then sometimes for some reason, like, you don't die to down throw cyclone if you DI correctly. Even if you DI in and like mash SDI in, first off, you might just go to the other side of the character to, you know, fall into the center of the stage, but also, like, I got grabbed by Luis at, you know, 60% at the ledge and I lived somehow, and I feel like that's just not good enough. You need rage with this character, but again, because of how exploitable this character's recovery is and just slow and bad disadvantage, you know, it's pretty difficult for Dr. Mario to live as long as he needs to in order to get those clutch kills. So I think this character dropped pretty hard. You know, just a mobile character, a strong character, an edge guarding character, a character that does a lot of damage in combos, any of those can beat Dr. Mario because he's so slow and the neutral is so pathetic. Maybe a worse neutral than Kirby, and that's saying something. I really wish Bowser Jr. was better than he is, but the Kooperlings are just a struggle, very much so too linear, not enough amazing tools, a down B that is mediocre at best considering you can shield it and pick it up, a neutral B that is one of the worst neutral Bs in the entire game. Like, yo, put 2E on Bowser Jr., you got yourself a mid tier, but not having a couple moves for this character is really tragic. It's really difficult to hit moves like down smash, to hit the key moves like back air, and forward air is actually amazing, and the neutral of this character is actually pretty decent, but it is too linear in my opinion for it to be successful. Too many holes in this character's like where they want to hit. Like, you cannot hit really like a 30-degree above you without like the front hit of up air, which is going to be not as fast as you need it to really anti-air your opponents. Mediocre out of shield options at best. Nair is going to be your best out of shield option like that, and up smash, which can just whiff if someone low profiles it, or space is a move to any degree. Like, this character really struggles to just deal with pressure because you need a lot of space in order to use your side B, but if you use your side B, sometimes you get hit anyway, and then if you don't have room to use your side B, then you're going to typically be doing things like short hop fair, but if a character is short and or uses a move first, like this character gets hit and takes a bunch of damage, a disadvantage that is really incredibly lackluster. Just, I don't know, I have a lot of fun playing Bowser Jr. You can find a lot of openings, you can outplay your opponents. Like, Bowser Jr. does have the tools to outplay your opponents, but in a game where every character basically has like amazing tools, or at least a couple of amazing tools, Bowser Jr. just doesn't have that. Sometimes struggles to kill, even though his kill potential seemingly is ridiculous. Struggles to rack on damage. Like, yeah, up throw up air is pretty good, but outside of 15-20%, that's not going to work. So you're going to have to hit these raw side Bs into up air, but then you don't have your double jump if you use the side B on the ground, so you have to land, and then his advantage state isn't good enough because he's not fast enough on the ground to really chase people. So almost a good character. I feel like if they make Bowser Jr.'s run speed a little bit faster, or make up air a little bit better, maybe make up air or like forward air hit higher than it does, he could be a threat. But right now I can't justify putting him not in bottom tier. Starting off in low tier is going to be Little Mac. He has ascended from his bottom tier position to low tier, in my opinion. I think the jab buff is absolutely huge for him. He now gets 40 to 50% on like every character for hitting a frame 1 move on the ground, which is amazing. Like, that's so strong. That's like one of the most ridiculous things you can say about this game. Obviously, his flaws are crazy. His disadvantage is the worst in the game, more than likely. His recovery is the worst in the game, more than likely. It is the most abusable. You ever hit him out of his side B, and he literally just dies from like any character, literally any character, including even another Little Mac can edgeguard Little Mac, and that is just not a good look considering in a tournament setting you can't just have those oops I lost stocks. Like, that is really not good. So Little Mac can't really be, in my opinion, any better than like the lowest or the mid tier, but he can be low tier in my opinion. His offensive capabilities are now a lot better. His F tilt not dropping now is huge. His jab buff, there's a sneak buff actually, you have to just like input the gentleman manually. You have 15 less frames of end lag, so you can either have a chain grab, because on fast volleys you actually get down throw, jab, 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 dash grab, down throw, jab, 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 into like forward smash or something like that. It is a ridiculous amount of damage. This character is now very much so scarier on the ground, obviously the weakest character in the air and off stage, and not the strongest on stage, but man, it is getting way better. Obviously this character still, everything else this character has, like the amazingly fast tilts that all have trample, the super armor on all the smash attacks, and also up smash got more super armor, so gonna be a bit of a better anti-air. Like, this character still can be scary, but in a tournament setting, I feel like he will lose too many stocks for him to be higher than low tier, but better than bottom 1 like I used to think he is now, like on the upper part of bottom 10. Mii Brawler is, in my opinion, still the worst Mii. He is just fairly lackluster in a lot of things. Has some decent tools. Nair forward smash going to be really good. His side B command grab, amazing for catching people off guard. It's somewhat decently difficult to edge guard recovery if you're not like an amazing edge guard character, but I feel like this character's combos are just slightly too lackluster for him to be any higher. He hits you once or twice and then the neutral interaction is done. His advantage state is okay because he's not really that fast on the ground, although he is a fast faller, so you can kind of get like juggles, or like, just like if someone has to land on top of you or they don't have great aerial mobility, you can still do like, short hop up air, fast fall, cover and air dodge with like a running raw back air or something like that. But I feel like this character overall just doesn't quite have enough tools that can really shine in this game. Honestly at this point, after like the bottom tier, I still feel like all the characters, like every single character outside of bottom tier, can do decently well in tournaments. I mean, we did see Leet get 17th at Smash and Splash, which is fantastic, especially for a character that most people thought was bottom tier. I still think isn't like super great great. So, you know, that's crazy. I think all these characters at this point are actually very, very good, including Little Mac. You know, they all have tools and they all have matchups that they can win, but I feel like Mii Brawler overall just doesn't have enough tools to keep up with even the low mid-tier type of characters that I will talk about later. You know, just really underwhelming, not enough kill confirms, not enough, you know, like you have to get like really specific random moves like landing up air to get like helicopter kick, even though I know that a lot of people use the two-part up B now, which can like trip opponents, which is kind of weird because it's a better, you know, thing to recover, but at the same time it's also exploitable because the hitbox isn't as big as it is on helicopter kick. So there's a lot of things you have to sacrifice in order to maximize either the offense of your character or the recovery of your character, and it just doesn't seem to work. If you have to sacrifice something to make your character less punishable, that probably means your character is not even that good in the first place, and that is what I think about Mii Brawler. Luigi is slightly better Little Mac. Yeah, I said it. I think his recovery is the second worst in the entire game. So abusable. He needs misfire against like half the cast in order to recover, because you can just literally just throw a hitbox out as he's side being and he just dies. Yes, he has a 0 death. Yes, he has amazing combos. Yes, he has a frame 1 invincible down B, but basically everything he does is punishable. Like every single thing can lead to a hit, which can lead to offstage, which can lead to death. His air mobility is so low to the point where he cannot juke any single person out. If you have any type of disjoint, you can throw that move at Luigi, he tries to down B, then you fast fall, and then you punish his down B, and then you do it over and over and over again. And honestly, people just need to camp platforms more against this character, because yeah, he has some ridiculous stuff like at mid percents, but if you're not getting 0 to death, suddenly he has to win neutral 4 to 5 to 6 times as Luigi. Like that character has very few neutral tools that in my opinion are like even worth it. Like yeah, his grab got a little buff because there's not going to be as much of a sour spot, and I don't exactly understand what happened with his Zaire, but even then all those tools are very gimmicky and very much so like if you don't understand it, you might get hit, but once you do understand it, you will just kind of avoid it or just hit him for it. Like Luigi's moves aren't fast enough, are not good enough, they don't combo well enough into each other outside of specifically like Nair, and that's about it. Like that move is crazy because it's frame 3, it combos into itself, it's a combo breaker, you know, it can lead to pretty early kills like Nair down B. Yes, down throw down B works. I know this character has kill confirms, but a kill confirm against any, or as any character against Luigi can be like, I back through you, and I guessed right once and then you died. And that is, again, similar to Little Mac, not really good in a tournament environment. We have seen Luigi's very much so struggle to do well at any tournament of, you know, meaning. Like, yeah, sure, like Con and Elegant will do pretty well at locals, but like they're not going to do well in a really big tournament environment where they have to constantly play top tiers and high tiers and even mid tiers. I just don't think Luigi has the tools, and I think he's just slightly better Little Mac, because literally Little Mac was 2 spots ago. He's not good. And the last character, in my opinion, in low tier, I know, pretty small tier, is going to be Donkey Kong. I think this character just struggles to recover, struggles to land. You know, his neutral's pretty decent, but a lot of things he does are punishable on reaction. Like if he whips a back air, you can punish it, and DK's disadvantage is going to be probably the worst of the heavies, including K-Rool, because at least K-Rool has super armor. Like DK has to land some hair with like maybe super armor on his side B, but again, if you kind of attack like below him and to behind him, like he's not really going to be able to do much considering back air won't hit those areas. He also has a really big, you know, blind spot below and in front of him, which he has always had in every single Smash game. And if you do something that will avoid side B, like let's say like a full hop aerial, you can like hit him, and if he side Bs, then you can do a landing aerial and then continue your pressure from there. This character's recovery is also abysmal since it has no invincibility on it anywhere. You can trade with it, you can just hit it straight up. Like the hitbox is actually terrible, and that is so unfortunate for a character that you really need to have longevity with these heavy characters in order to just have rage and suddenly have your really strong kill potential and all that type of stuff, and DK just doesn't really get access to it because his disadvantage and his just recovery is so abysmal. Like you can hit him for 70% because he's a heavy bulky character, and then you throw him off stage and he can die against the majority of the cast that can just edge guard him, or at the very least edge trap him. Like it's so tragic. The only saving grace of this character is like DKO, which is basically the new ding dong where you cargo and then you up throw wide and you land on a platform and then get up air. Like that is a thing on almost every character in the game. I think there's a couple that you don't get hit by it, or some very small windows. Like I know Pikachu's window is like 4% or something like that, but you know, other than that and other than side B and maybe like back air, he's really not going to have much. His landing options are either too slow to be reliable like aerial down B, or just like not going to hit you because of those blind spots. As I mentioned, it leads him to have such a terrible disadvantage. His neutral's pretty okay because he does have a really big back air, and if characters like to jump or they have to jump because they have a mediocre ground game, you can stuff them out. Like DK definitely, again, as I mentioned before, still has decent matchups with some of the people above him. Like he's not going to lose to every single character, but the potential for him to lose almost every single game because of that bad disadvantage and bad recovery is going to haunt him, and in my opinion, put him in low tier. This next tier is going to be what I call low mid tier, where they're not low tier in my opinion, but they're not like the better mid tier characters. So they're kind of in this awkward realm where like they could be low tier, but I don't think they're low tier, but they're not like anywhere near high tier or even the upper mid tier characters. So I'm just going to call it low mid tier. And to start that tier off, we have Zelda. I do think she is still very underwhelming. Her disadvantage is pretty mediocre. She does have neutral B to get her out of sticky situations, and if you don't have a true combo on her, you can best believe that this character, similar to Snake, is mashing that neutral B button, and it's really obnoxious to deal with because a lot of characters you think you have true combos, but they actually just don't work against her. Like I remember when I played Ven, I quick attacked him at basically any percent under 70, and I got hit by neutral B because I'm like, oh well, there's no way you're gonna do it for the 13th time. Okay, yeah, you did it, and it was, or even at low percent, sometimes it's a guaranteed punish on a lot of things that are unsafe on hit. If her lightning kicks honestly were at the tip of her foot like they are in melee, I think this character would be about 10 to 15 spots better, because then she would have a really good spacing tool. But again, this character is basically 100% reliant on her down B and the usage of that, which can be very tiring for Zelda players because like you constantly have to be doing all the different levels of down B, because I think there's like 9 or so of the different levels of her down B, and you have to use every single one perfectly. God forbid the character has a reflector or an absorb and it just like doesn't really work, or even like a counter. You're like, they have setups, sure, and there's edge cancels and you can hold down on uppy when you're recovering, so it's going to be harder to edge guard. So you do actually have to respect this character, but I feel like just doesn't have enough tools to keep her like higher than this. Like I don't feel like she's fast enough. I don't feel like her disadvantage is good enough. I don't feel like she just quite has, she's missing like one or two things. She's missing a really good spacing tool to keep people out and to also potentially do a lot of damage, would be like a combo starter, and she does not have that, unfortunately, especially considering down tilt got nerfed from Smash 4. So I just feel like overall this character fairly lackluster. You can definitely win with this character. I mean, again, I lost to Ven. You can definitely outplay your opponents with Zelda, but it is going to be mostly in your opponent's court to mess it up or to just like not be able to hit or punish like the neutral B and the down B, and understanding how that all works. But I feel like once the gimmicks of Zelda are learned, that character then struggles a lot harder in most matchups. Pit and Dark Pit, because I'm just going to put them in the same area, even though I know they technically have differences. I'm going to put them together because you have fun, YouTube comments. I feel like Pit overall is a fairly strong neutral character with decent tools throughout, but unfortunately, decent is as far as Pit's tools get. A pretty okay dash grab and dash attack, a pretty okay juggle game, a pretty okay recovery, although it has no hitbox on it, so it's exploitable. Multiple jumps, so he has an okay disadvantage, even though he doesn't have anything great to get out of, juggle situations with or things like that. So this character just has good options, and definitely you can outplay your opponent. If your opponent struggles in disadvantage, then Pit will be able to take advantage of that. If your opponent has a mediocre neutral, Pit will be able to get those openings way more than your opponent. And if your opponent, doesn't have a great juggle game, then you're going to force the neutral interactions a lot more with Pit. But you basically have to play the weaknesses of your opponent instead of the strengths of yourself. And in my opinion, that is pretty much the definition of like a low mid-tier character, considering the characters up like above Pit just kind of start getting stronger and stronger options or really advantageous situations that Pit does not have access to. Jigglypuff, in my opinion, is one of the more underrated characters in the game, but still falls at the lower end of low mid tier. Just obviously she can get walled out, she can get edge guarded, she can get outranged, and that is really unfortunate. But when Puff gets going, I think this character actually has a decent amount that is special. Sing being an amazing tech, those three being no tech, tech in place, and also tech in, and that can get up air rest or just rest or forward smash depending on whatever percent it is. This character has a decent amount of jab lock setups that can also lead into Sing, which leads into rest, but again, this character's neutral, unfortunately lackluster. The ability for Jigglypuff to change directions in melee, for example, is significantly better than Jigglypuff's ability to do that in Smash Ultimate, and if she had that, honestly, I feel like she'd be a much better character because it would be a lot more difficult to hit her or put the hitboxes in a place where it's going to hit Jigglypuff. But now Jigglypuff kind of has to commit to either being forward or backward or neutral, or it's kind of, honestly, I don't know why I said that word weird, by the way. It's kind of just awkward for Jigglypuff to just get around. But again, the characters that can't wall Jigglypuff out, Jigs can do a really, really good job against, but unfortunately that is not too many characters in the game, and obviously the clutch factor of rest is huge, but again, that kind of gets mitigated with how light Jigglypuff is, so like if you miss a rest, you're going to die at 40 against 90% of the cast, and that is no bueno. Knee Gunner, I had a lot of hope for at the beginning of this game, and unfortunately, the more it played out, and the more I played this character, and the more I played, honestly, other characters and other zoners, the more lackluster I realized this character was. If Knee Gunner was just a little bit faster in the air, I feel like she'd be so much better. We'll be able to chase with up airs and back airs and down airs, but unfortunately does not really have the ability to against most characters. If you have any type of anti-zoning, you will be able to beat this character. I feel like her disadvantage, not good enough. Her best projectiles in terms of her, down be like the bomb drop can be hit back at her, so she's going to most likely run Shine, which only is really good to turn herself around in order to recover a little better, and like that's basically gonna be it. And obviously other projectile characters, but there aren't too many of those in this game to be like applicable, which is kind of unfortunate. Just I feel like the kill confirms are just slightly off. Like up throw up air almost works but doesn't quite. Forward smash gonna be good but not quite good enough to the point where it's like, oh man, that move is a threat at 80. It's like more like 90 or 100, and if you just like ledge jump, you're probably going to be careful. If you're just patient on the ledge in general, you're going to be fine. Like, unfortunately, this character is just slightly too slow, in my opinion, to be super relevant, but again, still can zone people out, still can be obnoxious. This character isn't bad by any means, just like not as good as I wanted her to be. Drag down up air can still confirm into stuff, back air is still incredibly powerful, so is, as I mentioned, forward smash and down smash, not going to be the moves that you really want them to be. They're not like crazy amazing, as me being spoiled by playing like top and high tiers for the most part have, but like she's still like pretty decent, can still be pretty obnoxious, hard to catch her for a lot of the slower characters on the ground speed, like the other characters in low and bottom tier, so she can still hold her own versus them, and also some characters here and there in mid and low mid tier, but for the most part going to get overwhelmed by most of the top tiers. The damage output not there. The disadvantage kind of okay because you get a lot of beer versus and have, for the most part I'm assuming everyone uses like the charge shot basically, so you're going to be able to have the access to the beer reversing, which is nice, but unfortunately it is not going to be enough to put this character any higher than this. Villager is a character that, it's in theory to me, I think of Villager and I'm like, damn, Villager's pretty good, has a really strong edge guarding game, a really strong edge trapping game, has bowling ball to always just clutch out games, has tree, has neutral air, has a pretty decent zoning between Lloyd, Rocket, Fair, and Bear. And then as I was making this tier list, I just kept slowly putting more and more characters above Villager to the point where he was bottom 15 or bottom 20, I'm bad at counting right now. It's just, this character just almost has it all, just if it was a little bit faster, had a better landing aerial. I've honestly, like, if he had a good landing aerial, this character would be ridiculous because you would have a mix-up between short hop instant fair and then short hop landing whatever aerial. Like, that would be huge. Yes, down air spikes with all three turn-ups, but it is slower, so it's going to be less of a potent out of shield option. The fact that you can RNG just not get a kill in terms of your up air is kind of tragic, even though sometimes, you can get kills really early, but a lot of characters above Villager can get those really early kills, and the only way you're going to actually be getting early kills as Villager is by edge guarding and or hitting a bowling ball on a very linear recovery, but that's not going to happen as often as you would expect, unfortunately. Like, this character, again, as I mentioned with a bunch of other characters in this tier so far, has the tools in order to beat a lot of characters, can definitely outplay your opponent, but sometimes you just get overwhelmed, or you get hit off stage and you get hit for your repetitive recovery, or you're just not able to solid out those clutch last stock moments, or you just go down first stock because you're unable to get that early kill. And it's so hard as Villager to play catch up to the point where you just end up going 70 to 80% down by the time you get that kill. Doesn't really have a good get off me option other than Nair, which is good, but it's not going to be as effective and it's pretty easily baitable, so I don't know, this character kind of struggles. And here we have Ganondorf, the king of Hyrule, one of the scariest characters in the entire game, but unfortunately to me he does have Luigi and Little Mac syndrome, where sometimes he gets hit off stage and dies. Yes, he does a ridiculous amount of percent. Yes, he can combo off of throws at low percent. He has burst options such as his side B, his down B, just dash attack. He has amazing edge guarding with Nair and up air, and God forbid you ever get spiked. This character has so many tools available to him, but as a lot of characters in low tier and like the lower half of the cast, his disadvantage is actually terrible. It is so hard to land with this character. It is incredibly difficult to recover with this character, in my opinion, either the third or fourth worst recovery in the game, but worst recovery applicably, in my opinion, than Dr. Mario, and that is saying something. We've seen success from this character because, again, he hits so hard that if you get 1 to 2 to 3 reads, you can just end an entire game with Ganondorf, especially with that ridiculously powerful forward smash, but something like that where you need the hard reads in order to beat your opponent are not going to be the best tournament characters, and that's kind of what I'm going for because I'm talking about in tournament environments overall, so unfortunately I cannot afford to put Ganon any higher than this. Sonic is honestly a weird character because I feel like he has a decent amount of good tools. He has neutral B, which is crazy. He's still incredibly fast, so he can whiff punish ridiculously well. He has side B and down B, which aren't, great, especially considering you can fall out of them, but they still do a decent job at just getting what it needs to get done, which is just whiff punish or to like bait someone into something and then hit them for it, which is I guess is a whiff punish, except like it can be in the air when it comes to side B. His forward smash is ridiculous. His edge guarding can be pretty good between spring, fair, back air, everything like that. But unfortunately, also again, as I mentioned, his down B doesn't really work, his side B doesn't really work, his up air often doesn't work. He actually kind of got whiffed on like the, hey, we're fixing a lot of the moves in 3.1 because that happened to like almost every single character that had some type of inconsistency with a move, and Sonic just was blatantly missing from that list, and that's really, really unfortunate for him, because honestly, I feel like if down B worked, he would be, 8 to 10 spots higher, but that is not going to be the case. Sonic does have to struggle in neutral against a lot of characters, gets overwhelmed pretty easily. It's hard to edgeguard him because of spring, it goes so high, and so he does have a decent amount of mix-ups, even though it doesn't really have a hitbox to it, and he's pretty decent at disadvantage because you can always spring and then have that spring cover like a reverse down air or something like that. But again, I feel like he doesn't do quite enough damage, doesn't kill quite easily enough to put him any higher than this, because this is when we start getting to the part of the tier list where these characters have really, really good strengths but also some pretty bad flaws, and unfortunately Sonic doesn't have a big enough strength in my opinion because his speed isn't important enough compared to things like combos or damage or anything like that. So unfortunately gonna put Sonic in the lower end of low mid tier. The Belmonts have honestly had an amazing showing of results recently, mostly due to Riddles from Canada. He is an amazing, amazing player. Got top, I believe it was 16 at Gommel, which is so difficult, and he ended up losing to me in like a 7-3 matchup. This character has so much, can wall so many characters out, has shield break setups, has some of the most annoying ledge trapping in the entire game. Like basically, in my opinion, a better arcfire ledge trapping because it is safer and it is just overall better, considering the only option to get around that ledge trapping is to drop off, and like 99% of characters don't have a safe way on, so after that you will get forward aired or side beat or anything like that. His down air is actually really good for getting at a disadvantage. God forbid you ever get hit on the ground into an uppie and die at like 120 if he has rage, or like maybe even 100 if you're a light character or a low ceiling or something like that. This character has so many tools available to him. Actually is harder to edgeguard him than you would expect because of how big and how fast his tether is, but you can get obviously those early kills. Like you definitely, I'm sure most of you, especially if you're on my channel, have seen me do like the back air, up air, back air 3 times to a Belmont player and just kill him 3 times. So that's gonna be pretty tragic and pretty unfortunate and hard to deal with, considering some characters can just kind of and edge guard him, and that is not going to be a good look. So he is fairly inconsistent, but man, on stage he is an absolute menace between his projectiles, between nair into fair, between his grab leading into fair, between down tilt just kind of getting him out of the corner, so it's really hard to maintain stage position against him, between obviously his amazing projectiles, his pretty decent combo game. He does hella damage. God forbid you get hit on the ledge and you get hit by like the down B into like forward smash. That will kill you so early, and this character honestly just is pretty frightening and can control a lot of the game, but he can also lose control fairly quickly, and that is going to be why I put him into low mid tier, even though he does have those amazing strengths. Pretty good character, has some good matchups above him, but just I can't justify putting him higher. Mii Swordsman is going to be the best of the 3 Miis, but still is going to land in low mid tier. Honestly, I feel like Mii Swordsman is the biggest gimmick of the Miis, because if you get hit by that neutral B at 50 at the ledge and you get hero spun, you're going to die. Tornado into up B is crazy. Tornado into up air is so strong. He does have a decent projectile with the Chakram side B, considering you can angle it, you can do the slow variant of it, so you can get a decent amount of damage, but I feel like this character, just as a sword character, is fairly underwhelming, has the worst sword of all the sword characters, doesn't have great descending aerials, because down air is going to be safe, or rather unsafe on shield, so is back air. It's not going to be as good as, let's say, Cloud's, even though that's like a kind of big comparison because Cloud's back air is still really good, but just Mii Swordsman just doesn't do enough, honestly, doesn't have enough combos, is really going to be nickel and diming you and trying to advantage you for the whole game, but at the same time, Mii Swordsman isn't as fast as, let's say, Lucina or Chrom or Roy or even Cloud, who are speedy and can keep you in disadvantage, doesn't have an oppressive neutral tool like, let's say, Cross Slash or even just like landing back air for Lucina, and his sword isn't quite big enough to just kind of throw out willy-nilly, and it's going to be a really big struggle for him, so in my opinion, just kind of okay. Mewtwo is the character that I want to believe can be good, still has amazing offensive options, but man, that tail just isn't going away, and it's getting worse and worse the more I think about it. Just having that huge of a hurt box on a big character that isn't heavy, so you just die really early to a bunch of random things. You can get shield poked super easily just in neutral, and in disadvantage it just makes it so much harder to land or to do anything. That's pretty tragic in my opinion. Like, has crazy offensive tools, down tilt, shadow ball, his speed, his forward air, his nair, all amazing tools, has great combos, has the Gimmer video thing with like the side beat into forward air being guaranteed at like 125 against like everyone, which is insane. But just like, even with all that amazing stuff, just his disadvantage, not having multiple air dodges, him being floaty, so fastball air dodge isn't going to be a great option, the exploitable recovery, the fact that side B isn't good in disadvantage, like this character just struggles to get down and struggles to land, and I feel like really bad because Mewtwo can sometimes be amazing, and I know I put him way higher in a bunch of my early tier lists, but the more I think about it, the more detrimental it seems to be, and I just don't think he's that great right now. Samus, in my opinion, has been a boring character since Smash Ultimate's release, but at the same time was always pretty good because of her ability to zone, bait jumps with forward air and bomb, and just was able to get a lot of big punishes and had decent edge trapping. But with Charge Shot being a much worse tool after the 3.0 nerf to the shield damage, it means that characters can be a lot more comfortable sitting in shield against this character, which is not going to be great for her because she really needs people to be scared to shield in order to run at her, so you can clip them with the Charge Shot, so you can clip them with the forward air, with the nair, with the back air. You know, bomb is still going to be an amazing tool for edge trapping and things like that, but unfortunately this character, if you get rushed down on as Samus, like, it's going to be a really big struggle to get away from anyone, especially considering up B just sometimes doesn't work. Like, up B out of shield sometimes just drops and you get punished even harder than you were going to get hit originally. You know, edge guarding is decently difficult against this character, but if your character has pretty big lingering hitboxes, or just has, like, you just hit a really good spot, you can, you know, keep this character off the stage and eventually kill them. Honestly, one of the weakest things about this character is the fact that it's hard to get off the ledge as Samus. Like, once, like, sure, edge guarding can be somewhat difficult against Samus, but getting off the ledge is so difficult because basically the only good option she has is like ledge jump, and if you're going to cover that with a media, then she can get up attack, and that's going to be the main mix-up because her neutral get up, her roll, and her ledge hop options are all really mediocre unless you have Charge Shot, but even then, like, you're going to just get pushed back off stage and be able to get hit on your second ledge grab anyway, so it's just not a good look. Her disadvantage is going to be slightly too poor for this character to be in normal mid-tier, and again, those Charge Shot nerfs are going to be huge, and yeah, her up smash got buffed, whoop-de-doo, you know, assuming you're not going to get those random off the side kills with up smash because they accidentally broke it. You know, I don't think this character has enough tools to play it against like the big characters, like the big boy characters, like the mid tiers, high tiers, and even, you know, top tiers. Like, unfortunately, Samus, you know, really preys on frustration against or as your opponent, but if you're not going to get that frustration because the people understand Samus, she's going to struggle a lot. Diddy Kong was, in my opinion, a bit lower than this, in my opinion, before the patch, because my opinion of him kept dropping lower and lower. I know it's been a while since my last tier list, and he was about in this position before, but I thought he was, like, pretty low tier in 3.0, but now with 3.1, with the dash attack, the up air, and the recovery buffs mainly, those are going to be absolutely huge for Diddy Kong. His recovery was one of the worst things about him. It was so hard to just ever make it back against any type of competent edge guarder, but now you can make it back from basically the corner bubble of Battlefield, which is insane. That is going to be a huge buff. Dash attack being a great burst option if you don't have banana to catch people off guard to get combos with is amazing. Up air having less lag, so you get things like up air into back air, up air into forward air, even up air into down air if your opponent DIs off stage, or you just want to stage spike them in general, or rather like bounce them off the stage, you can do that. He still has the banana infinites that are fairly difficult to set up, but Dakpo has been getting them enough to know that they are applicable on certain stages, you know, depending on the setup. But this character, you know, did get a lot of buffs, but in my opinion still does struggle decently hard with a lot of the top tiers because his forward air is not going to be the air-to-air that it was before in Smash 4. You know, he still does get out damage, like his damage output isn't fantastic or anything still, but his kill potential is pretty good because he has banana into up smash because up smash now works better. Banana into forward smash obviously going to be amazing. Banana down smash if you need to like have the quicker move, but I don't know, this character just got a lot and maybe can go up in the future. I don't know, it's possible. Like, I definitely could see like this character vortexing way harder, but at the same time right now I still don't think this character has enough tools, way more tools, and feels like a more complete character, and you know, can play him, and you can outplay your opponent, like you have the tools to outplay your opponent, but I don't think he has things quite strong enough other than the infinite to really put him higher than this, and doesn't have like, wow, that option in neutral like he did in Smash 4 and like a lot of the characters above him do, and again, his punish game isn't hard enough to really compensate for that. I was the most hyped for Ridley compared to any character in Smash Ultimate, and unfortunately, I can't play him in tournament. This character is too abusable in disadvantage, doesn't quite have a good enough recovery for me personally, because I'm spoiled with Pikachu's recovery, to be honest. This character does have amazing tools in neutral, such as Nair, Fair, Down Tilt, F Tilt, Fireball. Like, I feel like all of those tools can be amazing for this character. Even back air in neutral, can get really early kills with back air, down smash, forward smash, even edge guarding, like repetitive edge guarding with back air due to the fact that he has multiple jumps. It's really hard to edge guard him, at least once he starts his up B, because it has like a ridiculous disjoint. But again, this character can be put in situations that are awkward for him to recover, which is really, really obnoxious. Is not quite as heavy as the other heavy characters. So like, he's a big character, he's huge, and he has this lumbering hitbox, and he has pretty good hitboxes, but at the same time, he doesn't have the weight that DK, K. Rool, Bowser, etc. have, so he ends up dying earlier or getting hit off stage and then edge guarded, because it is overall easier to punish, in my opinion, Ridley's recovery than, let's say, Bowser's recovery, or even K. Rool's recovery sometimes. Like, it is so difficult for Ridley to make it back unless you start a really far away up B, in which case any type of disjoint is probably going to hit you out off stage again, and you have to recover again. Down B, I wish it was a little more usable. Down air, I hate that it's a stall and fall. Side B, very good, and honestly, mashing out of it doesn't do much, because Ridley, is going to be at a decent distance, so like Ridley's mashing jab after the release of the side B is still going to be pretty good. But I don't know, just kind of, I wish just something was slightly better. Just like, give down air, make down air a real move, make it like a consistent spike at the very least. Like, I've hit the spike of Ridley's down air like twice, and I use it a lot because I always want it to be good, and I always want to hit that, but I can't. And unfortunately, this character is going to be the upper end of low mid tier, but in my opinion, just not going to be quite good enough to really contend with a lot of the high tiers. I really enjoy watching Corrin. I think this character has a lot of potential in terms of juggle situations, in terms of edge trapping, but right now I don't think that Corrin really has anything strong enough to put him or her, depending on which one you use, really just over the edge. Kind of an honest character. Like, the unfair thing about Corrin is what, like Pin, but Pin got nerfed, or is it like Nair, or is it up air? Like, I don't even know. Nair out of shield is going to be a really good tool, and a really good combo tool, and a really good landing tool, in my opinion, because it's still pretty big, but I feel like just overall Corrin doesn't have quite what it takes to handle most of the high tiers or even mid tiers and top tiers. Like, I feel like Corrin has a decent amount of even matchups, but if your bracket is littered with even matchups, or maybe slightly disadvantaged, or even some hard disadvantage in the top tiers, that's not going to be a good tournament character, even though you can, in theory, outplay, outspace, juggle, edge trap, edge guard, two frame with this character. I feel like it's just too difficult to get it consistently, and for that reason, I'm going to put him in low mid tier. Bayonetta's a character again. That's nice. Her up tilt functions better, even though it still kind of drops sometimes. Her witch time is way better. Her side B and her up B now give her way less lag, so it's going to be a bit better. And I heard there was a sneak buff to her up B that it added a new hitbox, so that it drops out even less. So now Bayo can kind of function the way she was supposed to, up tilt anti-airing into full combos, up B and side B not being incredibly detrimental, but this character still has a bunch of flaws. Still going to struggle to kill off of her confirms, really does now need a witch time or a hard read on a smash attack in order to get kills, or like a back air, which is still pretty difficult to land considering she has to like short hop and then wait and then back air, and that's not going to be really the winning play for Bayo. She still struggles to recover, unfortunately, with even how good her recovery is, just the fact that she always will peek out over the ledge. Like, I don't think it's possible to sweet spot with this character, and because she doesn't just snap to the ledge, so it's kind of really, really unfortunate for that, and that's going to be a huge detriment. Witch time being better means her disadvantage is a lot better, but again, she's like 10 or so spots better than I thought she was, so this character gonna be a bit real. You are going to have to remember your SDI flowcharts, maybe your DI flowcharts, because you will probably see a couple more Bayos in tournament, but at the same time not going to be an oppressive threat, nowhere near like she was in Smash 4. And for the final character in low mid tier, we are going to have Lucas, a character that honestly I thought was pretty good at the beginning, but the more again I think about this character, the more lackluster I realize he is. PK freeze is amazing and kind of broken. Down smash 2 framing is amazing and kind of broken, but the fact that you don't have grab confirmed, so you can always just kind of hold shield versus this character, is going to be incredibly detrimental. The fact that neutral air doesn't always send forward means that his combo tree is much more complex. Yes, does he have up smash attack canceling in order to use the invincibility and then get some aerials? Yeah, but that is so difficult that it's not really going to be applicable in any type of level, maybe once every set, and that's not going to be a good enough look in order for it to be like, oh, this is an actual contention of point where like Lucas is better, because I don't think that's the case. His forward air is really strong. He has a lot of just raw kill potential in general. Forward throw, back throw, up throw, down smash, up smash, forward smash, forward air, back air can spike. This character will kill you, but at the same time, it's harder for him to rack up damage. Also, PK Fire will kill. It's harder harder for him to rack up damage because he has less consistent combos. His grab is going to be a lot worse. His advantage state isn't quite good enough because his hitboxes aren't quite big enough, and I feel like that, honestly, if maybe a little bigger or a little faster would be a lot better for this character, because his up air is better than it was in Smash 4, but it's not going to be enough to keep people in disadvantage for too long, and so I'm going to have to put him at the top of low mid tier. Okay, we've done a lot of characters, so let us get into the biggest tier of this tier list, which is going to be mid tier. These are going to be the characters that aren't quite the top tournament threats, but are going to be amazing counter picks, and that is going to mostly be what is existing in mid tier, as opposed to high and top tier, which are kind of solo viable, or like you can main them and then have a secondary, whereas low, mid tier, and low tier are going to be more niche counter picks. Mid tier is going to be the much stronger counter picks overall. For the lowest character in mid-tier, we are going to have Rosalina and Luma, and I kind of want to put an asterisk on this because she might be better with her buffs, and because, you know, especially like the biggest buff in my opinion is that Luma's dash attack is now going to have less lag, so that means attack cancel shenanigans are going to be a lot more potent with this character, and I don't exactly know what that's going to entail, but right now I feel like this character does struggle a little bit to keep Luma alive. Really, to close out these stocks, she's going to have to out-neutral you pretty hard, and yeah, she has decent neutral tools, but once you kill Luma, now those neutral tools become a lot less efficient. Most characters in top and high tier have abilities to kill Luma incredibly easily, whether it's with projectiles, whether it's with just safe hitboxes, whether it's just with big hitboxes that even if they get punished for, it doesn't matter, because now like Rose is punishing you and it's not going to be crazy. You know, her up air juggles are going to be pretty good, but not crazy. Her nair is actually an amazing move. That's just it. That's the statement. That move is crazy. You know, she has a decent amount of tools that she didn't have access to, especially earlier in the game, as she's got buffed multiple times, but not, I feel like, quite good enough to be like oppressive, except in maybe specific matchups, and she still does struggle in disadvantage because she's slow and she's floaty, and you know, people can just kind of juggle her forever. And yeah, does that take a while? Sure. And yeah, does Luma come back a little bit faster now? She comes back 1 second faster and has less health? Yeah, sure, but I don't know exactly where this character is going to go. Might go a little bit higher. I can't really see her going lower than any of the characters below her, but might go above 5 or 6 of the characters that I'm going to talk about right now. King Dedede is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated and slept on characters in the entire game. Yes, is his disadvantage not that great? Sure, I'll agree with that, but the amazing neutral that this character has between forward tilt, back air that's safe, forward air, like F tilt's pretty safe against most characters too. Gordo is going to be ridiculous. Yes, you can hit it back, but again, if you are in disadvantage, Gordo becomes a huge problem because it covers multiple areas, and most characters don't have disjointed landing aerials, so you're going to have to choose to either avoid it or try to smack it back, in which case Day-to-Day can be there and just hit you away. God forbid you get edge trapped by this character and get Gordo down smashed, or Gordo F smash, or Gordo back aired, or just hit by Gordo and then have to do it again and again. This character can kill you really early. Back air being safe is amazing, and it's honestly not as bad as a move as I thought it was after playing against Zaki at Prime Saga. You know, that character has a lot of little traps and a lot of little things, and yeah, can get overwhelmed by some top tiers, but again, can really play solid against a really important top tier, at least in 3.0, which was Peach, and that was a huge deal. Like, having that like top tier contention of a matchup is going to be really nice, and still does, in my opinion, fairly well versus most of the top tiers, considering how much damage he does, how heavy he is, and how just difficult it can be to hit and clean out those stocks because of the fact that he can do those landing fast fall air dodges or those landing fast fall backers that will catch you off guard. And like, if he gets a parry or a down tilt or he two frames you with dash attack, you're just gonna die so early. Not the best heavy, but in my opinion, a very solid pick in Smash Ultimate. Falco is another one of those characters similar to Rosa that might go up as time goes on. I know I've played Larry Lur, and Falco can be really oppressive in advantage. Up tilt is such a fantastic move. Nair going to be really solid. Forward air going to be really solid. Up air going to be really solid. Up tilt into back air being a kill confirm. One of the best kill confirms in the entire game, probably. Just having back air in general. Forward smash as a read. Laser to disrupt. A pretty decent recovery. Falco just seems so good in this game, but at the same time, in my opinion, the game for Falco is a little too linear. Doesn't really have a plethora of options, just really strong with grab and up tilt, and that's going to be the main mix-up. And if you avoid up tilt, you win the game. Like, I remember when I played Larry and I went down to 1, my entire game plan switched to, I'm going to avoid up tilt, and if he hits me with anything else, it's going to be fine because it's not up tilt, and then I won. And that's kind of just how Falco feels a lot of the time against a lot of characters, but at the same time, he does shut down a lot of projectile characters because of the frame 1 reflective shine. He shuts down a lot of characters that have bad disadvantages because he can just literally literally 0 to death people off of just straight like up tilts into like up air, read your landing with like an up air, and then you tried to air dodge in, and then he up tilts you and just does it over and over again. He even can 0 to death characters with good disadvantage if you get those reads. If he was a little faster, he would be absolutely broken. If he was a little bit stronger, or up smash was a little bit better of an anti-air, in my opinion, he would be amazing, or like a better add a shield option. If he just had one better add a shield option in general, but at the same time, his edge guarding between forward air, drag downs, forward air in general, down air spikes, back air, you know, shine, nair, it's going to be so difficult for a lot of characters to get back on stage. Lingering hitboxes for edge guarding are so good, and Falco has multiple of them, and it's just, I feel like, again, this character in advantage is incredibly strong, but the neutral going to be slightly too linear, and the disadvantage going to be not quite as strong as it needs to be like high tier or even like high mid tier. But I can honestly see, like I can realistically see high mid tier, because a lot of these characters in this tier especially are very close. Incineroar is one of the scariest characters in the entire game. His advantage state is amazing, especially given the fact of how slow he is. Revenge going to be a frame 3 counter that lets pretty much things kill at ridiculously early percents, between 40-50%, with like normal moves. God forbid you hit a forward smash, it'll kill at 20. This character's edge guarding can be pretty strong with things like run off nair, forward air. The fact that he got buffed a while ago, his recovery is going to be really nice for him, both in disadvantage and in advantage, just trying to edge guard people or trying to recover. It is really nice for him. The quality of life of this character has increased dramatically over the course of the game, and he is finding a bit of a solid place in the meta. I know Magister has done fantastic with this character, and I know I'm not saying things based off results, but I thought this character was kind of mediocre. Then I saw him be played by Magister, and I played against Magister, and I understood how good this character can be. The mix-up with side B, the mix-up with neutral B, landing nair, landing down, or God forbid, landing back air or revenge if you swing into it. This character has a lot of mix-ups, and yeah, can be walled out or can be camped by a decent amount of characters, but you can't really camp him with projectiles, because he'll just slowly revenge and stack that revenge and stack that revenge, and then just actually kill you at 0. If his recovery was a little bit better or a little bit more like difficult to hit as characters with disjoints, I feel like this character would be even better, but still solid place in the mid tier. It's really crazy, because when I think about Cloud and I think about where he is, I'm like, yeah, Cloud's a really good character, and then he's somewhere smack dab in the middle of mid tier. His up B out of shield is amazing. Forward air and back air are going to be great. Walling, aerials, cross slash is going to be fantastic. Has a little bit of a hard time killing without limit or just raw hitting a smash attack, which is going to be his biggest flaw, other than his abusable recovery, of course. And the fact that you can run away from limit means that the character isn't as oppressive, but can still get a lot of the options off, whether it's limit cross slash, you know, limit blade beam, but he has to be aggressive with those options, which in my opinion was a great balancing mechanic for this game compared to Smash 4. But at the same time, if you have really passive characters like, let's say, Shulk or Pikachu or Pichu, or characters that can just run away or, God forbid, go under the stage, you are going to not be able to use that limit. I know I played against Cheeks last weekend at DreamHack, and he had limit, and I literally like thunder jolted twice, and as soon as he got even a little bit close, ran off stage and skull bashed under and camped out the entirety of the limit. Then that is going to be really tragic for Cloud. But at the same time, not every character is going to be able to do that. He still does a massive amount of damage, has an amazing advantage state because up air is still ridiculously good. He's so fast on the ground. He has lingering aerials. He has arrows that hit you from any side, from below you, from above you, has combos into his spike. This character just has so much going for him, but at the same time isn't dishonest enough to be in high tier or even high mid tier. Doesn't have those just throw it out option. You have to play. He doesn't really have just like that throw it out option. He has to play very meticulously and very intelligently, basically the entire game, even if it sometimes seems like he's just spamming forward air and back air. But it's really important that he does that, and it makes him susceptible to parrying, but at the same time then you can do things like landing F tilt, so he has a decent amount of mix up, and he's not going to be the character he was in Smash 4, but he's not going to be bad at all. Ice Climbers, in my opinion, are the most slept on character in the entire game. Yes, people see like those Japanese combo videos, but even without the crazy stuff that Ice Climbers have, you see a lot of success for this character in players like Big D, who just play neutral and play smart and play side B and Blizzard, and those two moves are amazing. I feel like the amount that Nana will like SD or people be like, oh my god, Nana, is way lower than actually happens. A lot of the time it really makes sense what Nana's trying to do or what Nana is failing to do, and it's honestly at most times the fault of the player, except when she gets like caught on platforms and things like that. They have crazy 0 to deaths. They have amazing grab combos even without the 0 to deaths. They have ridiculous amounts of tech like blizzards in neutral, like blizzard wavelands that are desynced, and just a bunch of d6 in general that are really difficult. So the skill cap of this character is incredibly high, but you don't even need it for the most part, as long as you learn your grab combos and maybe the new like the grab buffering of like the tilts, where like Popo can do a different thing than Nana, or like Nana does tilts while Popo doesn't. That's kind of broken, even though you can't do anything as Popo when you're doing that. But like, wow, wow, this character has so much at their disposal, has the cheerless grab. I don't know if that actually got patched out, but it might have, and even if it doesn't, there are plenty of ways to get desyncs into kills anyway. This character's skill potential in general, really good. Blizzard into up tilt, up air, you have forward smash, back air, down smash, you know, just forward air. Obviously you have the 0 to deaths where you can just get a ridiculous amount of damage super quickly. You have crazy combos with this character, super high untapped potential. In my opinion, Ice Climbers will end up landing in low high tier, but not right now. I really wish I could say Game & Watch is worse, because I still think this character relies heavily on people not understanding how to play against this character, but this character still has a bunch of tools, has some of the best latch trapping in the entire game with Chef, has the best out of shield option in the entire game, in my opinion, maybe second to like Crom's up B with his up B. He has combos off the stage, he has edge guarding, he's almost impossible to edge guard, he's almost impossible to edge trap. If you touch his shield, he's going to get out. You know, this character can struggle to kill sometimes, but eventually will hit a fair, a down smash, a back air, a forward smash. You know, he has so many ways to just kind of oopsie kills, and yeah, like, do I feel like that's like a good thing to say? It's like, oh, he just has to throw out a kill move and it'll be fine. Like, no, but at the same time, up smash isn't particularly punishable unless you have some of the best out of shield options in the entire game. Down smash spaced is going to be pretty safe on most of the cast. You know, he can edge trap you fairly well and just bait you into rolling into an up smash at 85. Like, this character is so obnoxious, and I feel like just kind of like a bad version of Bayo from Smash 4, where it's like, wow, you're gonna hit him twice and then wait because he's gonna up you, and then you're gonna punish the landing or try to punish the landing. Did you punish the landing? No, you have a really annoying time in neutral. Did you get hit by up B? Okay, you're kind of just annoyed and hoping that this ends, and it just doesn't sometimes. Just Game & Watch, I'm not a fan of playing against him, as you can tell by like kind of my tone and my like how I'm talking about it. You know, pretty solid character. I'm not gonna say high tier, but wow, like better than I thought he was going to be at the beginning, because I saw the fair nerf and I saw, you know, just the inability to super armor from startup with up smash, which I thought was going to be a much bigger deal than it actually ended up being, because I didn't realize up B was broken. I didn't realize that down smash was just, why is it so, forward smash is so strong too. Like, this character has tools, kind of just still gets shut out by a lot of the top tiers in the meta, but unfortunately does have a couple key matchups in top tier that are very strong. Duck Hunt may be way more difficult in this game, but wow, this character kind of got the sauce. Back air is going to be amazing still. Forward air is amazing. Can still going to escape a lot of combos. Frisbee, even though Frisbee got nerfed from the earlier patches, still combos into itself, sometimes into back air, into down air. It's just so much damage. Gunman going to be very strong. Can, it's just, the thing is, like, if you shut down characters' neutral tools, or shut down what they're able to do because they're scared of this looming projectile, it makes everything that they do into your playing field, because you know they want to jump, you know they want to roll, like one of those options, and you can just kind of pick those options. And Duck Hunt honestly sometimes can cover both, unless they're just like patient, but then if you hold shield because you're scared of the can, they run up and grab you and then edge guard you. This character, recovery a little bit better than it was in Smash 4, obviously, because you do have the ability to do aerials and to air dodge out, and you obviously will have that can protecting you for the most part. So this character not as easy to edgeguard as one would normally expect, unless Can is already out, but if that's the case, that's kind of the Duck Hunt's fault anyway. This character, really high skill curve, like super difficult to play in my opinion, not easy at all. That's why you only really see Raito do really well with this character, but Raito has done incredibly well with this character, proving me wrong, because like I thought the character was kind of mediocre, but then watching, you know, Raito's Duck Hunt, because he quit him for a while, or like didn't really go to tournaments or something, so I was like, oh, I guess Duck Hunt, like he doesn't believe in him anymore, but he's back and he's playing the character, and I can see the intelligence being put through Raito into Duck Hunt, and it is so scary to play against this character. Can kind of shut down your options, can combo you, even though Can is so weird in this game, because I think it depends on which side of the can, like in terms of like when it spawns, like the left or the right, and then it's constantly spinning and changing which side it's going to send you. It's crazy, it's super weird, but Duck Hunts have been able to find setups to hit Can back into you, like the hitbox of it, so then you can get up airs, and like this up air chains are so ridiculous to this character. The tilts are generally better. Forward smash, or like all the smash attacks now track, which is crazy because the kill potential of those moves is so high, so I'm gonna put this character in about the middle of mid tier. Might be a little bit higher, you know, into the higher end of mid tier, but for right now I'm gonna say mid tier. Marth is a sad boy compared to what he was in Smash 4, and this character just, again, there's nothing inherently wrong with this character. Has a lot of range, has decent kill potential if you hit tippers, but like not super great if you don't hit tippers, but it's okay because his neutral is pretty good. He has decent throw combos, he has a really good neutral, he has a pretty okay disadvantage, you know, like not great, but not terrible. His recovery is great, not terrible, but at the same time can randomly kill you with either shield breaker, which leads into like F smash tippers at 20, or if you hit an F smash tipper at 20 in general, it might kill. There are ways to get Dancing Blade to confirm into tippers, which is really strong, but at the same time, you know, sometimes you don't kill until 140, 160, and as a character that is kind of squishy and kind of floaty and can get hit in disadvantage a lot, especially against the top tiers, that is not going to be good for, you know, his consistency factor, so he ends up being less and less consistent than you would normally expect. And, you know, I'm going to talk about more in depth about the character, obviously, when I talk about Lucina, who's still, in my opinion, much better than Marth, and so I'll talk about it more then. I still feel like Meta Knight is one of the more slept on characters in the game. This character has really good edge guarding, still has death combos, or at the very least very high damaging combos, has really hard read moves in terms of down B and forward smash, has the ability to tech chase every single option with side B at about 100 and just kill people, has up B out of shield, has nair out of shield, has tornado, has death combos off the side, has amazing edge guarding. I don't remember if I said that. This character just seemingly has a lot of things. You know, is kind of easily comboed because of his size and his fall speed, and his disadvantage isn't as good as you would normally expect Meta Knights to be, although down B is still an underused move in my opinion by most Meta Knights to get at a disadvantage. But like, I feel like this character is kind of slept on overall. I see people put him in like low mid tiers, like really like underrated as hell, and like I think Meta Knight's very good. Yes, he's like maybe like 30th still because of this just kind of where the tier list puts him, or like 34. Can't tell the number right now because I'm just kind of looking at an amalgamation of characters on a tier list. But overall, I do think this character is very strong, has good neutral, or like okay neutral, I guess. You know, the ability to just kill you off of dash attack or down throw if you don't DI it correctly, or just get like these edge traps or throw you off stage and get like a bunch of pressure with edge trapping, or also just edge guarding because he has back air and neutral air and still tornado to be off stage. This character has a lot, although sometimes you do miss those percents where you can get those early kills, and you can sometimes struggle to kill it if your opponent is being careful around things like nair or tornado or back air or forward smash. But that's a lot of things to be careful of, and Meta Knight honestly doesn't even need those early kills, at least in my opinion, because you can just play that solid game with fair back air, down tilt, forward air spacing. You know, those type of things are going to be really important for Meta Knight, and I feel like Meta Knight still, as players, focus too much on, oh my god, I want to get the kill, but he doesn't have to. But until Meta Knights really start doing that, I'm going to put him in mid tier, although I do think he is high mid tier, like overall really, but he hasn't proved it yet. And not in terms of results, just in terms of like the mentality of the players. And now the worst of the three Links we are going to have, in my opinion, Adult Link. I think Adult Link is slightly too slow to keep up with the other two Links, but let's not compare him, let's just talk about him in a vacuum. Bomb can be incredibly oppressive for many characters. It bouncing around the ledge is so obnoxious. The boomerangs can be obnoxious to catch jumps or to also hit the bomb into other areas where they cover it, and then you can cover the rest of it with your incredibly strong hitboxes like forward tilt and forward air and down tilt and up tilt and things like that. God forbid you get hit by an up B off stage as Link, you are going to die super early. That move is ridiculously strong. Or if they get a read into a forward smash because you rolled into it, his up B out of shield is going to be a really good tool to get people off of you and to kill you at higher percents. His F tilt is amazing for catching ledge jumps or just edge trapping in general, especially in conjunction with the bomb, because if you hit the bomb, it's going to make your hitbox extend the duration, which is going to be really important for him. And while you can use your bomb to recover, I still feel like overall his recovery is the weakest aspect about him, because most characters honestly can jump off stage and try to challenge him, even though most don't. I feel like it is really kind of not super free as a lot of characters, but definitely something that a lot of people respect because they're like, oh, maybe they'll mess it up, even though you can assume that most top Link players won't mess up their bomb recoveries, and you really need to threaten them or make them uncomfortable just pulling bomb, because pulling bomb takes a while and getting that whole setup takes a while, especially considering most of them want to fall fairly low so they can't get hit up or they're not getting now juggled, and that's a pretty big deal in my opinion. So you just kind of can hit them or intercept them and make it more difficult for them to recover, or you know, just hitting the up B in general, because as I mentioned, yes, it's scary, but you have to understand how to hit it, how to be able to edge guard him in order to get those stocks off early, because if you let Link live, he will kill you ridiculously early, and you cannot let that happen. And for the first nerfed character from 3.0.1 to 3.1, we are going to have Olimar. Yes, I think he went down this low. The inability for him to have safety on shield with anything other than a fresh purple up smash or a fresh purple back air is going to be incredibly detrimental against every single rushdown character, against every single camping character that he's trying to get in on. Just because purple is so important now, if you just focus on killing purples, now the threat of the other Pikmin is going to be way less because yellow, red, it doesn't matter what else. Forward smash is going to be way less safe because they nerfed that. Again, up smash is no longer safe. It's at least -8, I think, if it's not purple, which means that if you have a 5-frame add a shield option, like a 5-frame aerial, you will be able to hit Olimar every single time, and that is huge. The fact that he pokes out of his shield with his hurt box is incredibly huge and really annoying for him because like multi-hit moves are just going to shield poke him now kind of for free. Like even full shield, he got shield poked by that Ridley, like reverse up smash. That is incredibly detrimental to him. The fact that his recovery is so bad now, he gets hit twice out of his uppy and he's just not going to have the fuel to make it back, and that is terrible for him. That is so not okay. Like they nerfed so many aspects about this character, and yes, he will still have good matchups versus the other mid-tier characters, the low mid-tier characters, the low tiers, and the bottom tiers, because they're not going to be able to get in, and he will be able to swap them out with his Pikmin sword aerials and just get a bunch of damage anyway, because like a defensive Olimar is still going to be pretty strong. But the thing that pushed his character over the top was the fact that he was able to run at you and use his smash attacks as offense that were safe, and then he would frame trap you, or he would like make you guess, and it was super difficult to play that guessing game against Olimar. But now it no longer is, because he's able to just get punished for basically everything he wants to do, and that is huge. May I be overreacting a little bit? Maybe. But I don't think this character is going to have anywhere near the staying power compared to any of the top tiers in this game. I feel like the matchups with almost half the cast went at least, 5 points into the opponent's favor. Olimar just struggles so hard now to get anything started, because now the combo starters of up smash are going to be risky. Forward smash is going to be risky, or like even riskier, even though they already nerfed it in 3.0. Like, it is ridiculous how much they nerfed this character in the span of a month. I mean, I'm about it because Olimar was obnoxious, but I also think I had an even matchup with him. But like, it's crazy how far down he's going to be pushed in the meta, in my opinion. Conversely, a character that got pretty heavily buffed in this last patch is going to be Lucario. Lucario obviously got nerfed originally with the Aura Sphere, but now that is basically back. So Aura Sphere to up smash, Aura Sphere to back air are going to be a lot more consistent now than they were, at least up until the 3.0 patch, or like the the middle ground of like the 2.0 and the 3.0 patch. So he's kind of back with that. The other buffs of this character are really nice. The fact that downer will connect more reliably, back air is now stronger, up air is now like more easy to hit with the sweet spot, forward smash sweet spot's bigger, side B is going to be a little bit better because it's a bigger grab box. Those things just make Lucario's kit feel more consistent and less gimmicky, even though he obviously still is gimmicky because Aura as a mechanic overall is gimmicky, but his moves are now going to be more consistent. They're going to make more sense for Lucario players. Now landing with Aura Sphere is going to be even scarier. Yet again, kind of back to the Smash 4. I don't know how big of a deal that is because I haven't seen quite enough footage, because Lucario is still a pretty niche character that not a lot of people play. I haven't really tuned into anti-streams or anything like that since the patch, but if it's back to where it was, like I have seen a couple clips on Twitter, that's going to be pretty problematic. Yes, he can still get ran away from. Like, I feel like he's not good enough at engaging to really like push the issue on a lot of characters. Like, he has to be the defensive character, he has to be the baiting character, and if you get the first stock on Lucario and you just decide like, okay, I'm not going to hit you anymore, I'm going to run away, good luck hitting me, Lucario is not quite fast enough either on the ground or in the air to really get to opponents. And granted, not a lot of people do that because it's not really, people don't like running away that blatantly, but at the same time, he has just way better tools, way more consistent tools. He might go up a little bit compared to this, like as people flesh out his combos and flesh out exactly why everything is so much better now, but he definitely was one of the winners of the 3.1 patch, and let us get into another one. Similarly to Bayonetta, Ryu is now a real character in this game. They switched the knockbacks and the knockback angles of a bunch of moves to make a lot of things function just better. They made the cancel windows bigger so that you can get Shoryus and Tatsus really way easier, like way easier, to the point where it's not going to be a stressful hit confirm. Just the fact that all these little things are going to add up to make this character just scarier is really nice. Ryu was a consistent one back in the day, although I will be talking about the other Shoto in a little bit, but again, things like jab going to be easier to confirm into, like strong jab going to be able to combo easier. You have up tilt strong is going to be like a different for the anti-air, like that's super important. The fact that strong down tilt sends less far means you're going to be able to get maybe like strong down tilt into back air. The fact that weak down tilt means that like there's more hit lag, means that the fact that you're going to be able to combo that into Shoryu way easier. So now he's still able to go back to the Smash 4 where he's able to spam down tilts and then sometimes mix in like the hard forward tilt to get those shield pops. You know, Ryu just feels like an actual character now. He's going to get those kills, he's going to get those hits, and now they matter as opposed to before when they didn't. He still does have a decent amount of flaws. His disadvantage is still pretty okay. Like, focus isn't going to be as effective in this game just because a lot of characters in the meta have multi-hit moves and they're like short and they're fast and it's kind of annoying. And his edge guarding, or rather his getting edge guarded, is still bad because of the fact that his up B doesn't snap the ledge and doesn't have as much invincibility. And yeah, like, Shoryu's not frame 1 invincible anymore, which is why I don't think he's high tier, or he's definitely not top tier. Neither is the other Shoto that I will talk about in a little bit, but I just feel like Ryu is now a scary character, went from like bottom 10 or bottom 15 to solidly upper mid tier, and I think he deserves that because he's a cool character, like, honestly, and I feel like a character that wants to run at you and hit you is going to be healthy for the viewership of this game as well, so I'm about it. For the second Link, we are going to have Toon Link. Yes, I do think Toon Link is underrated overall. I think his speed and his, just his high full hop is going to be very valuable in this game to get out of sticky situations. He's kind of floaty, so he has like a mediocre disadvantage if he's not the one starting the jumps, so that's not super great, but at the same time has amazing bomb confirms. His camping overall is still really strong between boomerang, bomb, arrow, just again his speed. Back air being a confirm into like itself over and over again into up B is ridiculous. Up B at a shield is amazing. F tilt is one of the best F tilts in the entire game. It can combo into itself against the bigger characters, which is absolutely it's just hilarious to me. I feel like this character overall doesn't have any crazy damaging combos. He's not gonna like 0 to 70 you out of nowhere, but at the same time is really solid, really fast, can kind of mix you up, can kind of camp you, and if you're a character that struggles to deal with camping, he will be effective versus you. If you're a character that struggles with good out of shield options, you will struggle against him. If you're a character that isn't quite able to deal with the speed of this character, you're gonna struggle with him. And I feel like those 3 archetypes are common enough to the point to put him to high mid tier, even with the lack of character representation in the meta, and with the lack of just people really talking about this character. I feel like he's really super under the radar, like not quite as underrated as a few of the characters I've mentioned already, but like, wow, I think this character is still pretty solid. They call me crazy, if you will, that he's better than Link, especially by like 5 spots, but I really think he is, and I just think he's a good character. Bowser is one scary character. This character has super armor, has a bunch of damage, has 2 frames, has a 6 frame command grab, has things that break shield, has things that do a bunch of shield damage, has a move that does 40 any single time it hits if it's close range. This character has so much going for him. The main flaw of this character is obviously just the general heavy flaw, where he's going to get hit and take a bunch of damage because his disadvantage is pretty lackluster. He has down air and down B to kind of mix it up compared to the other heavy characters, but at the same time, those are still baitable and punishable, and if you stay behind him, he's not really going to have something that is like a low hitbox, similar to what I was talking about with DK and his front end below him hitbox. That is Bowser with being behind and below, because forward air will kind of hit a little bit lower, and you have to watch out for those down air and those down B because they can kill. But this character does so much damage. There are times where I've literally hit people 3 times and they're at 95 to 100% because I hit flame breath and then like a fair and then tech chase with a flame breath, and they were at 100, and that is ridiculous, especially considering the kill potential of this character between up tilt, F tilt, down tilt, fair, bear, God forbid you get hit by nair, back air. Like, that move, that will kill you with like 40 if you're at the ledge. This character has pretty decent matchups with a lot of the top tiers. Like, he doesn't really get destroyed by many of the top tiers except maybe like Pikachu, but in my opinion that's not even that bad in the first place. Probably beats Inkling, only loses maybe slightly to Snake and Pichu, especially after the nerf of Pichu. Like, Palu can be pretty problematic, but that's really going to be it. Bowser can really hold his own against most of the cast, and that is scary considering he can also just kind of at 45 and you're going to die, whether that is down smash or nair back air or down B popping your shield. This character can edge guard fairly well because fair is ginormous and back air is pretty big and will kill you super early. Like, this character has so many tools in so many different situations that really the only flaw of this character is sometimes you get hit and take 80 or 90, but at the same time he is so heavy to the point where he's not going to die consistently, at least until 140 to 150 unless he gets edge guarded. But most characters can't edge guard him because his up B is fairly difficult to edge guard because of how weird its hitbox is. So it can be really scary to play against this character, honestly. And Leon has been doing super well, which is like good stuff to him. He's really showing how scary Bowser can be, and I'm not necessarily worried about this character because I have a bunch of experience against him, but like, wow, a bunch of players probably are. And that fear that I just mentioned is going to be really important in a tournament setting because you get hit by Bowser by a single flame breath and you get tilted because you're like, oh my god, that might be my stock because he has rage. Or you get hit by like a single nair or like a grab and you're at 50 and you're like, okay, I have to watch out for every single landing because nair back air will kill me. And that kind of pressure to put on an opponent is really huge, and Bowser can capitalize on that because opponents will shield, which allows you to either break their shield with down B if they don't react, or just, you know, scoop them with side B, which does like 22 or something like that, kills at like 100 at the ledge. Like, that move is so good. This character is really scary, easily the best traditional heavy in my opinion. Yo, Wii Fit Trainer, kinda nice though. She has hella kill confirms, hella damage, the ability to camp, the ability to heal, decent landing aerials, decent landing traps, or not landing traps, but I guess like mix-ups with between, you know, charging deep breathing and be reversing your, you know, sound salutation, and back air is so strong, and she has limit for like 15 seconds, and I don't know why they did that in patch 3.0, and I know I already talked about her recently in my last video about Wii Fit Trainer, her and the next character that I've just recently made videos on, but like, this character is so good, and if you want to, I feel like, hear a more in-depth opinion of that character, go check out that video, because this video is already going to go long enough, and you can go check that out for like the 8-minute opinion or whatever it ended up being. So I would highly recommend that, especially this and the next character going to be Sheik, a character that got strongly buffed in 3.0, just like Wii Fit Trainer did. The fact that you can charge noodles means that your camping game and your kill confirms are going to be way more consistent. The fact that fair is bigger is going to be huge because now short hop fair is going to hit basically everyone and confirm into 20 to 40% depending on the percent range, and also more of that. Also just the fact that she had a bunch of different tools before, but now the fact that you have, you know, better fair allows you to open up your mix-ups with grab and forward tilt and things like that, because people are going to be scared of different options, and also needles, so you're going to be able to play a bit of more of a passive game. And I don't know, this character was always cool, but like really bad, like bottom 10 type of bad, I think is where I put her in my 2.0 tier list. Now in 3.0 she got hella buffed. You know, 3.1 didn't really change, but just still an incredibly strong character. Again, if you wanted to have a more in-depth opinion, go check out the Sheik video. I will be putting it in the card in the up right now. And for the final character of mid-tier, we're going to have another winner of the 3.1 patch, and that is going to be Captain Falcon. Honestly, I always consider this character mediocre even after playing Nixie, who was at the time the best Captain Falcon at Frostbite. Just had a couple too many flaws, didn't have a great burst option unfortunately with the removal of the broken dash grab from Smash 4, but now with Raptor Boost being an option that you can just kind of hit at any time and it confirms into up air into like 110%, that's kind of ridiculous. Up tilt being faster means that you're going to be able to spike more of your opponents. You know, knee being bigger means it's going to be easier to confirm, or also just landing knee is going to be scarier because it's pretty safe on shield considering how much damage it does. Back air is stronger, so it's going to kill earlier. Side tilt or forward tilt is going to put you like extended launch distance, which means that it's going to send you farther, which means it's going to set up for tech chases even earlier, and that's kind of ridiculous. And also Falcon Kick being better and more active means that you're going to be able to break through projectile walls a lot easier. So this character now has more options versus close quarter combat, and also for juggling in terms of Raptor Boost, more options in terms of killing in terms of knee and back air, more options in terms of approaching and anti-zoning in terms of Falcon Kick. So that's kind of ridiculous. This character already had really good confirms and really good advantage state, and now the neutral and disadvantage for this character are going to be even better. This character is going to be really scary. I can't wait to see what the Falcons do to like optimize this character. I kind of want to play Falcon, not gonna lie. He's incredibly fun now because I love the characters that have just like the just like do it option, like the just the option, and Raptor Boost is that option for me, and I really enjoy playing him. He's a lot of fun, and he is going to go from low mid tier to the highest spot in mid tier, right below high tier, which is what we are going to get into now. High tier is going to be the characters that are incredibly viable in the meta and only have a couple of bad matchups that you're going to need secondaries for, but just generally very strong tournament characters. For the lowest character in high tier, we are going to have Ness. Ness is one of the most oppressively offensive characters in the entire game. Between back air, nair, forward air, magnet, PK Thunder, just the character's neutral and advantage state are surprisingly strong for how stubby his normals are. His nair out of shield is one of the best out of shield options in the entire game and does like 14%. His combos are ridiculous. PK Fire can now confirm so much, especially if you hit a landing PK Fire. Back air is so strong. Up air has ridiculous combos even though those aren't really optimized yet with like the dropout combos, but it just shows so much damage anyway and kills. He has the best kill throw in the game with back throw. He has PK Thunder, which can frame trap people or also combo into itself, or also just kind of like in advantage. You know, if you throw someone off stage and you PK Thunder them, it's so hard for almost every single character in the game to escape that. Only characters with like ridiculously good fast fall air dodges or recoveries, or you know, like a counter, like let's say Joker's counter, can really avoid the PK Thunder ball. It is so hard to get around. It's easily going to hit pretty much every single person that is like in disadvantage once or twice, which is 20 to 25%, because that ball does so much damage. Obviously, he does have a major flaw in terms of when he has to use his up B off stage to recover. It can get countered or it can get edge guarded, but he has the best air dodge in the entire game in terms of distance, so a lot of the times he doesn't even have to. He can just air dodge to the ledge, but if you try to cover the air dodge and he does that PK Thunder, then you already whiff to move, and then he's going to PK Thunder to the ledge, and you can't really mess with it. God forbid you try to mess with it, and then you die at 20. This character is just so scary. I feel like does a lot better against sword characters because of the hitbox on Magnet and the better out of shield options in general, but still can struggle with characters like Palu, and I feel like Shulk are probably his two worst matchups, but overall does pretty well versus most of the top tiers. Can contend with the buttons, can contend with the killing, can contend with the damage. You know, he's a pretty good ranged character now because PK Fire is like way better and less laggy, so it's way harder to punish him, but at the same time, you know, if he doesn't get his moves started, sometimes he can feel like a fish out of water, and that is why I'm putting him in the low end of high tier, but also mostly just because the characters above him start getting like really damn good. Ike is the best one-dimensional character in Smash Bros. Ultimate. His landing nair is so good, and it is going to be the majority of his play and mind games around it pretty much, or conditioning around it, because people don't really say mind games anymore. It's kind of tragic. He hits really hard, and his confirms are, you know, 2 to 3 hits at most, but at the same time, since Ike does so much damage, they're really, really hard hitting, and it just puts you into disadvantage, and that is very scary versus Ike, because he can do things like forward tilt, or god forbid, forward smash, or up smash, or again, just hit you with another landing nair if you're trying to land on him, kind of like outspace you, hit you with this sword, and then keep you in disadvantage. His up B out of the shield is a pretty good, like a deceivingly good out of shield option. I honestly didn't know it was that good of an option until I played against Mars's Ike, but at the same time, he does struggle with the shorter characters, with the faster characters, with the characters that can keep him out, since at this, like, realistically, like, Ike is not that fast, so if you're able to kind of make him approach you, that is going to be when he struggles, and obviously characters that are very good at parrying, or rather players that are very good at parrying, can have a great success against Ike. You know, he does have okay matchups across the top tiers. I feel like he doesn't really get bodied by basically anyone, but at the same time, he doesn't have really like, oh, I win this matchup against any of the characters in top tier. Maybe some characters in high tier, but he also, I feel like, beats most of the characters below him, so that is what is going to put him into high tier. A really solid matchup chart that, again, if he gets those eruptions, if he gets those F smash 2 frames, if he gets those down tilt 2 frames into forward air, or like back air, or things like that, like this character just hits so hard, and that is a really good tournament character because of the fact that you have to always be scared about that nair. Like the minute you think you're safe from that nair, you'll get hit by 2 into an up air at like 65% and die. Similar to Game & Watch, I did not want to believe that Pac-Man was as good as he is, but after watching T and watching Sinji and playing them and understanding why the options they were doing were working, like, I thought this character was riding on character unfamiliarity, but man, this character just doesn't seem to have many bad matchups. I feel like the only 2 matchups that Pac-Man really struggles with are Snake and Palutena, and maybe Joker, even though I haven't seen that matchup yet, but overall this character can control the pace with Hydrant and Fruit, has an amazing out of shield option with Nair and also with down air, has crazy combos with forward air and god forbid Bell or god forbid Galaga. Like, this character's damage output like is so high for a zoner, like it's ridiculous. The damage output of this character almost matches Snake in terms of like how good of a zoner and like still doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Like, it's crazy. Forward smash is so strong. Grab is a real grab now. His recovery is like hard to mess with because of the super armor on his mega pellet, and if you have to put him into the trampoline, then you can edge guard him, but for the most part they're not really gonna be like 3 bounces away for with their up B. Like, the side B is too good for that to ever really happen. The matchup spread of this character is so solid, it seems so difficult to just have a definitively winning matchup against this character, because suddenly you lose the momentum, you get hit by a single dare out of shield, they set up Hydrant, they get a melon, they throw it, they up smash you, they hit you away, they do it again and again, and then slowly it starts snowballing out of your favor, and then suddenly you get 2-stock. Like, that happens against Pac-Man. It is actually ridiculous. It's so hard sometimes to hit this character, whereas it feels like it's so easy for Pac-Man to hit you. After talking to T, you know, he thinks he's top 20, and it's so hard for me to definitively put him in top 20, especially with a couple of the buffs that have happened, but like top 25, pretty damn good. Next up in high tier is going to be Mario. This character does so much damage, his combos are so good, his air mobility, just like in Smash 4, is so high to the point where it's very difficult to pin this character down in disadvantage, because the difference between a full drift in Mario and a Mario that drifts left and right as they're falling, it's almost two completely different options, to the point where you can only cover one or the other unless you have a giant sword aerial or something like that. His grab combos are ridiculous. He can get early kills off the top on multiple stages of this game, being Battlefield and Town and City and Yoshi Story and Stadium and sometimes Battlefield. Did I say Battlefield? I don't remember. And Smashville. Like, I've seen this character ladder with Rage so many times, it is ridiculous. Like, yeah, it's not gonna like boop you off the top like it did in Smash 4 with like the single hit up B, but at the same time, just like the bringing of the characters up air is so good. Short hop upper out of shield, short hop nair out of shield, up B out of shield being frame 3. So many good out of shield options for this character that you can just kind of pick depending on the character, depending on how much frame data you have to spare, and like, or the frame advantage I guess you have to spare. And this character is just so good. Yes, he does get walled out, but still by certain matchups, I feel like, again, characters like Shulk and Lucina can have a really good time against this character, because it's so hard for him to get in, especially Shulk, because once he does get in, you know, it doesn't really matter because like lol shield art. But either way, this character's tools are so strong still. Up smash being an amazing kill move still, F smash being able to 2-frame, having cape to nullify projectiles, having flood to get stage control. Like, I don't know, this character is just super solid, not as impressive as the top tiers in my opinion, but damn good. Yoshi, unfortunately, has dropped off just a little bit for me. I feel like his blatant aggression is getting a lot worse and he has to play a more defensive game, but this character still does a ridiculous amount of damage. If you ever hit like a single downer, you get a tech chase, or like if you hit the final hit, you get like double up air. He can sometimes just 0 to 70 people. His jab blocks are so scary, and you can get them off of weak nair, off of down tilt, off of jab itself, off of even like fair that sends you out. This character just so scary on offense, but unfortunately, as the advantage state has got a little bit better with the top tiers, he sometimes does get hit and just kind of dies or takes 80, and that is not normally what happened to Yoshi, at least back in the day. You know, I don't think he's going to drop off more than this, because he's just so strong, and he has edge guarding, and he has egg boosting, and he still has a lot of, you know, improvements from his Smash 4 self, so he's not going to really go into mid tier in my opinion. But, you know, he's not going to be the high tier like he was before, just being really solid, having really good confirms, really good combos. You know, the fact that he has a grab confirm at low percents is really nice. Egg lay is still an amazing option for mix-ups and for landing, and something I definitely don't do as much, or like as much as I should when I play Yoshi. His back air is fantastic. Like, literally every single aerial is at least an 8 out of 10. His ground moves are all pretty good. Forward tilt confirms, down tilt jab blocks, or rather tech chases. Jab is just jab and it's amazing. Nair is a combo breaker. You know, down smash, I actually really love down smash. Forward smash is ridiculously strong and invincible on the head, or intangible rather. Like, this character has so many things, but I feel like as the meta is evolving, other characters are just kind of going above him, and that's not really his fault, but I do not think he will go much lower than this. Maybe slightly lower than Mario or Pac-Man, but like not below that. And for the biggest winner of the 3.1 patch, we are going to have Ken. He is now high tier. He went from arguably bottom tier, or at the very least low tier, to the middle of high tier. They fixed so many things about the character. He has an entire page of changes just for himself. They changed knockback angles, they changed knockback, you know, just like the amount. They changed how invincible moves were, they changed the hit lag on moves. Just so many things about this character have been changed to the point where he now kills people at 40. He actually functions like he's supposed to. He's gonna run at you, and he's gonna hit you with the nair, and he's going to up tilt, and he's going to shoryu. And yes, I have seen shoryu still drop, but still way less frequently. It seems like a way more specific hitbox, as opposed to just kind of like it happening randomly, or you could SDI into the bad hitboxes like you could in 3.0 and before. But Ken now, oh my god, he's going to hit you and kill you. He's going to focus you at 30, and just actually your stock is gone. He's going to run at people and just murder them. It's so hard to cross this character up because of the fact that he has the auto turnaround, which is going to make down tilt and up tilt, which are now fixed, way better. The fact that he has the proximity jab, do like 15 or something like that, and it just confirms into like everything. The fact that crescent kick is better now and actually confirms into stuff, unlike how it was before where you could mash air dodge, like that's huge. That's ridiculous. He now has so many ridiculous combos, ridiculous damage, ridiculous kill potential. I'm scared of this character, like not necessarily for me, but how he's going to affect the meta overall, because he has a really fast fireball now because they changed that as well, and he's just fast and he's going to run at people and kill them at 40. And what? That's awesome. That's going to be so much fun to watch. Really degenerate, but also really fun to watch. Let's go, Ken. Rob is another character that got buffed in this patch for basically no reason at all. They like quote-unquote fixed his jab, which allows him to get jab, drag in into down tilt, into jab, drag down, dragon into down tilt. So now his combos got like way better and kind of scarier. Now you can get jab into down smash as well as jab into down tilt, which also leads into dash grab or like another down tilt and sometimes. And Rob already was a really strong character, had things like nair and side B and gyro, and you know, down tilt is one of the best moves in the game considering it's like -4 on shields, so you can kind of just spam it on people's shields. Like, yeah, it does get less and less safe as you spam it, but like, wow, that move is really good. He can kind of zone you, kind of edge guard you, kind of just do everything. Like, yes, his disadvantage state is kind of lackluster compared to a lot of the characters, especially above Rob. Like, I feel like Rob is the last like quote-unquote bad disadvantage character of the entire cast, except like maybe the space animals that I'll get to, but overall his offense is just so strong. He might be a little bit better than this, but again, looking at the characters that are above him, it is hard to say that he's better than any of them, but like he could be. It's just like really difficult. Chrom has seen amazing showings from Shoyo James recently with multiple top 8s or 9s beating hella top players, and this character is just incredibly solid. The recovery not going to be as big a deal as a lot of people obviously made it out to seem, hello, me included, to the point where like his air dodges are just so good, specifically James but also other Chrom players. You know, his disadvantage you would think is going to be bad, but the way that he's such a fast faller that if you air dodge at all, it's going to trip you up so hard to the point where he gets back into neutral, and this character's neutral and advantage state, oh my god, they are so good. He gets so much damage off of any hit, whether it's nair, whether it's jab, whether it's up air. He obviously has really consistent killing with jab back air, jab forward air, jab F smash works sometimes. Up B out of shield is probably the best out of shield option in the entire game in terms of frame data and damage, because I think it's framed like 8 or 9 and then it does like 26 on hit, and like, yeah, it falls out sometimes, but for the most part you're not really going to get punished for that anyway. He's an amazing sword character. He's able to just play super fast and cover a bunch of options, and down tilt is like low-key broken, low-key like the best or second best down tilt in the entire game, considering it can 2-frame, it can knock you down into tech chases that lead into either jab back air or jab forward smash or just forward smash. Like, whoa, this character has so much offense, and yeah, obviously sometimes you just kind of derp off stage and die, and that is going to be why I still put him lower than, you know, his Echo Fighter, but at the same time both characters are ridiculous, and if you want to swap them, it's really not that big of a deal anyway. The only reason Young Link is not higher than this is honestly, he's just too hard. If you miss some of those early confirms, or you miss your combos, or you don't see perfectly exactly where you need to boomerang down to ricochet off the platform into double jump arrow up B, this character struggles a lot. You have to be 100% on point with this character at all times. That is not really going to be tournament reliable, especially considering his sword isn't that big and his moves aren't like blatantly good enough other than like arrow and neutral air to really like carry this character. It's not like you can just kind of throw out hitboxes that will probably work anyway. He really needs to be on point, but man, when he is on point, this character 0 to 80s you or 0 to deaths you and edge guards you and confirms with down tilt into back air up B, or down tilt into arrow up B, or down tilt just into up B in general, or forward air. I don't know why down tilt forward air works. I don't know why arrow or boomerang forward air work as easily as they do, but like sometimes I feel like this character just does struggle to kill. You know, if you don't get those early kills, then suddenly you're going to be killing at 170 with a neutral air, or maybe like a boomerang forward, like a weak boomerang fair at like 140. Like, I don't know, this character, considering how light he is and how abusable his recovery is not going to be able to contend with the characters above him that are all really solid. Like, again, no shots at Young Link. Like, Young Link is an amazing character, but when we're getting into the high tier and top tier, like the very clearly tournament, like super tried and true characters, it's going to be hard for Young Link, who's mostly been seen mostly as a secondary or like really difficult. Like, no one really solo mains Young Link to great success. It seems hard to keep up with all the characters, because if you're not playing exactly perfectly at all times in a tournament, you're going to falter, you're going to miss some confirms, and then you're going to lose games because of it. Roy is a character that to me is the more consistent version of Chrom, because while Chrom has more consistent hitboxes overall, Roy has a better recovery, and in a tournament setting that is going to be overall more important. His sour spots end up comboing into stuff anyway, or putting them people like really low into tech chase situations. It's really easy honestly to land his sweet spots. He still has his side B, which hasn't got nerfed for some reason. That is one of the most ridiculously strong moves in the entire game for no reason, and it's pretty easy to land it, especially out of like a short hop, so it's a great out of shield option. He still has jab back back air, jab up air, he has nair combos, he has throw combos, he's just so strong overall. You obviously saw Tweak have great success with this character, you know, in a couple matches or a couple sets against Mars specifically. He's able to just play fast and just wall people out, and again, killing with side B is going to be huge because it's not just jab, he's able to be more mobile and land things. You know, nair F smash also works, although that works with Chrom as well. You know, again, they're both really good. The super armor on Roy's up B is also really valuable. Like, it's still a good add a shield option, it's not quite Chrom's up B, but still incredibly strong, and things like F tilt just kind of like catching people off guard, and just his speed in general will catch people off guard, and the fact that he doesn't have that like threat in the back of your mind as the player of like, oh my god, I'm gonna get thrown off stage and die, except against certain characters obviously, you know, that's going to be a huge mental like burden that you're not going to have to worry about, at least in my opinion, as Roy, and that is honestly why I put Roy above Chrom. Just this seems like a slightly more consistent tournament character, even if the hitboxes are less consistent, just because you're not going to randomly just die at 0. And again, even when he hits with his sour spots, they're still going to do mad damage and still put him in advantage. Like, it's not necessarily going to be as much advantage or as much damage, but like, it's so hard to land against Roy just because of how low his short hop is, and his up air like is ridiculous. Like, man, his juggles are so good. Getting into the upper part of high tier now, we have Zero Suit Samus, who hashtag ZSS sucks according to Mars. The main reason this character is as high as she is just because her mobility is ridiculous. She can just choose against the large majority of characters, or especially between like mid tier and lower, and even a lot of high and even some top tier characters. She can just choose not to get hit. She's like, I'm going to go backwards and Zair, and I'm going to full hop out of danger and then down B to the other side of the stage, and then land with a B reverse side B, which is completely unpunishable for some reason as most characters, and then just do it again over and over again. She has her frame 1 jab, she has mix up off of nair, her damage output is pretty good, it's not like crazy or anything, but her advantage state is so strong because her jump is so high and she's so fast, and if she ever gets hit, she has one of the best disadvantage states in the entire game because it is really hard to catch her out of her down B. Like me, as the person that is like really good at edge guarding Zero Suit and just playing against Zero Suit in general, it is really difficult to read those correctly and always be hitting them, and like if you do hit them, like sure, now she'll just like down her to the like floor, maybe get punished, sure, but she's like gonna get her resources back. She's able to maintain her resources really well or use them when she has to. She still has the ridiculous clutch factor of things like nair into down B or nair into up B, or just, you know, down B, bury into up B in general, or up B at a shield, which is like way stronger than it was in Smash 4 for some reason still. And this character honestly just like has risen up. Mars plays this character perfectly because he played a weird Zero Suit in Smash 4 because he didn't really rely on like grab, down throw, up B. Like, he got it sometimes, but it wasn't something that he overly relied on, so he just plays the buttons of the character. And now that the grab is severely nerfed, you know, it doesn't really lead into tech chase situations unless you're DI, like you're caught out DIing, because if you DI up, you should be fine. Like every single throw, it doesn't really matter, although you have to watch out for back throw into spike, just be careful of that. But again, because her grab is worse, she's going to rely more on her buttons and just her grab to try to force you out of shield sometimes, and Mars just was always hitting those buttons anyway, so it just works for him with this character. I don't quite think she's top tier. I do think she struggles really hard with the rats even after the Pichu nerf, still with Pichu, definitely with Pikachu, which is why Mars didn't even go her versus me, and maybe a couple other matchups, maybe like Inkling and Wolf, but at the same time, the win rate of Mars is like kind of ridiculous, so I don't even know if those matchups are that bad. They just kind of seem it, and like, you know, was Olimar, but now rip Olimar, so maybe gonna be a little higher, you know, maybe a couple spots. I still don't think she's top tier, but she is a damn good character. Mega Man was never not broken. This character walls out 95% of the cast kinda for free between pellets, forward air, back air, leaf shield. It seems like almost no character has an answer for literally everything, has a really good matchup spread. I feel like in between top, high, mid, like everywhere in the cast, only has a few select bad matchups. You know, I feel like the only flaw of this character is sometimes you can just kind of get edge guarded, and sometimes if your opponent's really on and punishing leaf shield, like you're not going to be able to land very well, but like that's kind of rare. This character, insane. You saw Kamame have great success with this character in Japan, although he also does play Wario, which is another high tier. Like, this character just is so good. Fair buff is ridiculous, and Leaf Shield's got like nerfed like 4 times, and it's still just so good. The Mega Mans are starting to optimize like Z-drop Dare combos. Dare, just an amazing move in general. Why is that move so safe? I don't know actually at all, but this character just like, I feel like every move of this character has a purpose, whether it's side B, whether it's spring, whether it's Metal Blade, which is still really good, All of the aerials are really underrated, can still kill really early with fair and back air. Forward smash is absolutely amazing, it can catch people off the ledge. Like, the ledge trapping of this character is severely underrated. I don't know, I just, even as a character like Pikachu that has an advantage versus Mega Man, I hate playing against Mega Man. It is so obnoxious, and I can't imagine having like an even matchup, or God forbid a losing matchup for this character, which I feel like most characters in this cast do. Like, he might honestly be top tier, I might still be underrating him, but like the characters above are just so good that it's scary for me to put him there without just broadening the definition of my top tier. Wario kind of nice though. Wario has so many combo confirms, obviously has Waft, which is the best single thing that you can possibly have, or maybe second best thing you can possibly have in a tournament setting, with just the ability to pretty much play every single game with 2 stocks. His up tilt anti-air is amazing. His combos are really, actually OD. He does so much damage. His disadvantage is actually super, not that bad as you think it is, unless you are a character that has a giant, quick, lingering hitbox or something like that, or like a sword aerial. But his air mobility is so good. He has Bike, he has B reverse bite, he has just so many things in order to get him at a disadvantage. And yeah, sometimes it's kind of tragic because his moves don't exactly work correctly. Like if you're at let's say 30%, half the cast won't get hit by both hits in there. But at the same time, you don't even need that because Wario can play a defensive game, force people to approach, because if they don't, he's getting waft, and then when they do approach, then he counterpokes them with a falling up air, or air to airs them with a back air, and just gets himself in advantage and starts pressuring people. He has a command grab in terms of neutral B. He has a pretty good recovery that very few characters can mess with because of the ability for him to use Bike. And this character is kind of nice. I know a lot of the Wario mains are very pessimistic about their character because they see the flaws of the character and just be like, man, this character sucks. But at the same time, they're like, man, I love playing 2 stocks in a game, or as the opponent, I hate playing a 2-stock game against Wario, and I always think I have 2 stocks. If I'm on even stocks against a Wario, I think I'm losing basically the entire time. And that's just a really important factor for mentality in a tournament setting, so I can't put Wario lower than this. I don't really know where the public opinion that Pokemon Trainer wasn't absolutely amazing ever came from, other than Leffen, but I feel like it has persisted too long. This character is ridiculous. Charizard, way underrated in my opinion, somewhere in mid-tier. His neutral is really strong, his kill potential is ridiculous. He has, he doesn't have down throw fair, sure, but he has back throw back air or back throw fair, so it's a decent amount of damage. He's hard to edge guard because of the super armor of his uppy. You have to respect Flare Blitz, even though, if they do bad Flare Blitzes, they can easily die for it. He's so strong. He's so powerful, and obviously you can just switch out in matchups that you don't like or situations you don't like. Squirtle going to have ridiculous confirms with combos, with grab, with forward tilt, with down air, with forward air, with up air, with back air. Everything confirms into 40 to 50% on this character. And then sure, he struggles to kill sometimes, but also his smash attacks have no end lag, or rather forward smash and down smash have basically no end lag, and can kill and can 2-frame, and it's pretty hard to edge guard him because Uppy's hitbox is really large. I don't know, this character, super underrated in my opinion. By himself would be a high mid-tier character, only because he can struggle to kill sometimes, but at the same time, being attached to Ivysaur, the character that kills super early, and also Charizard as well, which I already talked about, Ivysaur is ridiculous. So much damage, kills at 0 if your DI is if your DI isn't perfect versus Ivysaur, you will die so early to random uppy confirms, to nair confirms, to up air confirms, back air into uppy, back air into up air. Bullet Seed is now better for some reason. They fixed that move, I guess. Down air through platforms into fall through up air is an amazing confirm that hits even short characters like Pikachu, which is kind of ridiculous. This character has so much tech between all 3 Pokemon. It is so hard to constantly be switching which one you're playing against, because God forbid you have a good matchup, but then you still get hit by, let's say, a 40% combo by Squirtle, even though your matchup with Squirtle is supposedly good. Now he did his purpose. He can switch out into Ivysaur, get that big damage, get those kills, and then obviously Charizard can linger for a long time and is honestly a super underrated character overall. I don't know, Pokemon Trainer kind of busted. And for the final character in high tier, we have Greninja. I don't know, I feel as the meta is progressing, I feel not having Atta Shield options, really good Atta Shield options, is going to be very detrimental to a lot of characters. And Greninja, that's basically his only flaw, that and the fact that he's kind of a fast faller, so he can get comboed pretty hard by a decent amount of characters. But wow, other than that, this character kind of nuts. His dash attack is really hard to punish and confirms to a billion things. His down tilt is pretty hard to punish, it can confirm into a billion things. He has a really good, passive game in terms terms of just using his speed and also his neutral B, just hit people. It's kind of hard to edge guard him because of the a billion angles, and also you have to watch out for the double side B tricks that he can do, which can kill you super early. He can cheese people mad early if he ever hits a fully charged neutral B into like a jump into Shadow Sneak. Like that will just kill people, and it is actually ridiculous. This character can kill so many, he has so many kill confirms between like down tilt into up smash, down tilt fair, dash attack fair, you notice back air in general being strong, F smash being ridiculously strong, down smash being super fast and super strong, just like F smash. Like wow, this character just kind of has it all, except the fact that sometimes characters can kind of run over Greninja. If you ever catch Greninja in shield, it is going to be really hard for him to get out of that position, like the pressure situation. He's going to have to roll or use his full hop, but again, his landing options aren't the greatest, especially if you're not facing your opponent, so you don't have access to that fair. Like he's going to be a little bit difficult, a little bit strained to get out of disadvantage in those type of situations, like the pressure situations, although not generally in disadvantage, because fastball air dodge is going to be amazing for him. Downer as a mix-up going to be amazing for him. The fact that he can B reverse his neutral B, the fact that he can up B to platforms with water, so make it like to push people away. This character is really good. I don't think quite top tier anymore, but like, I mean, he could easily be top tier because like, I mean, my top tier is only 11 characters. And we have finally made it to the top of the mountain, the top 11 characters in the game who I will call top tier. Starting off, it's going to be Palutena is going to have a big flaw in my opinion, which is the fact that the space right in front of her on the ground is really, really good against her. She doesn't really have a lot of good options unless you're going to go for a really risky dash grab or dash attack, which are both obviously punishable pretty hard. And you know, her combos are pretty good, but they don't do as much damage as most of the other top tiers. Her kill potential is honestly really good. Up smash 2 framing, if you ever hit another smash attack. You have up air, which is ridiculous considering the height of her jump. You have back air, back throw, which I don't know why back throw is so strong. I thought if anything they were going to nerf about Palu, it would be her back throw. It should probably be like 10% weaker, because that joint's ridiculous. It is crazy how strong that move is. But, you know, she has a lot of control in a matchup, but again, if you are kind of on top of her warp cancels, her disadvantage compared to especially everyone else above her, except again maybe the space animals, is kind of lackluster. She doesn't really have good descending aerials. Nair's punishable. Like I think her only aerial that's not punishable, like in general, is going to be max space fair, or just fair in general, like perfectly landed. But again, if you're going to do that makes her susceptible to parries, which will get her punished, and that is not going to be a good look for her, considering she really needs to like win those neutral interactions and get out of disadvantage as early as possible, because she does, like, her neutral's pretty solid overall unless you're able to abuse that right in front of her space, which mostly is going to be short and fast characters like the rats. Mostly, like, those are her two hardest matchups in my opinion. But like, especially compared to the other top tier, she doesn't have like ridiculously early killing like let's say Wolf does. She doesn't have amazing range like the swordies above her do, or even some of the swordies below her do, and she always is kind of struggling to maintain momentum. And if she loses momentum, maybe that's just because like Nairo is a momentum based player and it was against him, but like I feel like as Palu loses momentum, that is not good. Although she can frame trap you and kind of play solid basically the entire game, and I've seen Jen do that definitely, which is kind of ridiculous. But overall, I think just slightly too weak to be a top 10 character, although I could agree with people saying she's top 10. Like, I can definitely understand if people think she's stronger than a couple of the characters I put above her. Like, I'm not going to argue like 11 versus 9, like that's not really what my tier list is about, but I did want to give a more definitive order just because it feels nice. At number 10, we are going to have one of the recipients of the Nerf Hammer, and that is going to be Pichu. Pichu, still ridiculous and still plays largely the same as he used to, but now the self-damage is going to be a much bigger deal. It will accumulate over time, especially considering Pichu was already sometimes struggling with a decent amount of the zoners of this game, like Pac-Man, like Rob, like Wii Fit Trainer. Like, we definitely saw Void go Sheik against those three characters in particular, just to make sure that he could win those matchups, that he wasn't going to get out-camped and just slowly whittled down because it's Pichu. Those little bits of self-damage are going to add up so much more, because that extra 0.4, 0.6, 0.8 is going to, over the course of a stock, you know, add up 5 to 8 more percent, and as character as light as Pichu, that is going to matter. The F-Salt nerf is a pretty big deal, but at the same time, this character's kill potential mostly at this point came from back air and F-Smash, and F-Tilt still killing at like 130 is going to be pretty good, although, you know, that is kind of overlapping in the percent where Up Throw Thunder will start working, so F-Tilt not going to be as much of the play, but oh no, you'll only F-Smash 2 frame people, or you'll only down tilt back back air people at like 85 of the ledge and kill them. You know, still gonna kill really, really early. The F tilt buff going to be not as consequential as a lot of people think it is. But overall, it's just like playing passive versus this character is going to make it a lot harder for Pichu to be successful. You're going to really have a good defense. Like, you're going to need a good defense as Pichu in order to win these games, because it is so difficult for him to just blatantly mash into people's faces anymore, especially because of the hurt box, you know, being bigger. Like, he's going to be able to get out of shield optioned more. He's going to be able to be hit more in general. And again, because of how light Pichu is, that is not going to be a good look. I could definitely see this character dropping off a little bit, but I do think people are overreacting a little bit to the nerfs. You know, I know Void said he's not going to main Pichu anymore, but at the same time, Void, you know, a character that doesn't like stressful characters, and he already had 4 years of that in Smash 4, you know, but Sheik was obviously also a controlling character. Pichu never really considered a controlling character, more so an aggressive, I'm going to kill you type of character, and I don't think that's exactly the game he wants to play. That's not necessarily Pichu being bad, it's just Pichu not being what Void wants him to be as the meta has progressed, so I don't think he's, like, bad at all. He's definitely, in my opinion, still top tier, maybe not top 10. Peach is also a character that got nerfed in 3.1, but again, I do not think this character changes how she plays at all. She's still going to be incredibly oppressive on your shield with float cancel nairs and float cancel bears and down tilts and all the pressure she had before, but these slightly ridiculous things are a little bit toned down. Back throw is going to kill a lot later, which means that she's not going to be able to trap you in shield and then just kill you at 110 at the ledge if she has a decent amount of rage. She's not going to be able to fair you off the ledge at 85 if she has some rage, or God forbid she just gets a tipper. So you're just going to have to play a little bit more quote-unquote honestly, even though there's almost nothing honest about this character. She's just going to have to, you know, edge trap you a little bit harder, edge guard you a little bit harder. The fact that side B is a little bit worse means it's not going to be as good for pressure anymore, which again is, in my opinion, kind of fair, because back air and nair and just her spacing in general, her timings in general are so, like, atypical compared to most characters that it's still going to be very difficult for pretty much every character to still hit her. I feel like she still plays the same kind of game. She's just not going to accidentally kill you at 80, which I think is kind of fair. Haha, that's a pun, because the fair killing. You know, also Turnip having 3 more frames of lag means she's not going to be able to pluck turnips quite as easily. Still going to be an amazing tool that you hit someone away, pluck turnip, and, you know, be able to use it in advantage. The only thing it's going to be worse at is edge guarding, because you can't, like, pluck turnip and then throw it and then immediately pluck a turnip quite as fast, because those 6 frames will add up to someone getting back to the ledge. But at the same time, oh no, only ledge guard a little bit smarter, you can't just spam turnip. Like, it's going to be fine for this character. The edge trapping of this character is still amazing. The combos, the damage output, the disadvantage still broken for this character. So she's still definitely top 10. You know, she's not uncontestedly top 3 anymore, but top 10. Even though Light hasn't been able to see the amount of success he has earlier in the game, I still feel like Fox is ridiculous. His ability to just mix people up due to his speed, the ability to vortex people with up air and back air, the fact that back air auto cancels so early, all of those things just make such a strong character. The fact that nair is basically safe on shield for the first, like, 3 nairs, which is, like, ridiculous, even if it's hitting the top of people's shields. The fact that you can mix that up with back air or down air if you're trying to, like, parry the nair to get a punish, because that's the only way you can punish it. Then you try to drop shield on a down air and then you get up smashed for it. Like, the consistent killing of this character is so nice, and yes, his killing isn't ridiculous, but the fact that he has consistent confirms into it is beautiful. The fact that he can just up smash out of shield, the fact that he can back air, his ledge trapping is some of the best in the game due to his low short hop and back air. Like, I've seen like Fox players try to, like, back air and then someone tries to react to them jumping with a get up attack, and then they shield the get up attack and then forward smash them or down smash them out of shield and continue the ledge trap, or just kill them if they were at higher percents. This character's damage output is ridiculous. Yes, his disadvantage isn't that great, but at the same time, fastfall air dodge is so hard to cover with this character. Covering both side B, like, randomly in the air, as well as, like, shine stalling, and as well as just, like, randomly landing on a platform, as well as fastfall air dodge. Like, there's so many mix-ups that this character has to land. It is so hard to cover. And if you miss it and he gets an up tilt, like, that's going to be 30 to 50%, or if he gets a dash attack, or if he just hits you at all, this character just kind of just, like, explodes out damage to the point where you're like, where'd my stock go? That was ridiculous. And Fox is just so good at doing that. You're like, yes, is he as strong as, let's say, Wolf? I mean, like, again, compared to Smash 4, his ledge trapping isn't going to be as good because up tilt is less oppressive as a move in general, but damn, this character has so many tools in so many situations. And yes, side B is worse, but if you ever hit it on someone for, like, a landing trap, or you ever, like, catch someone's air dodge with a side B, it will always send in the exact spot that you need to up air them, which I've seen several times, and it's just so good. Inkling was a character that I was really not sure whether the character was 7 or 5. It was so difficult to like figure out this 5 through 7, but I ended up putting Inkling at 7 just because of all the characters left in the game, this is the only one that kind of struggles to kill sometimes. I have lived a long time against Inkling if you watch out for the solid moves like back throw, like up air, like down tilt, like all the smash attacks, roller, things like that. It is so hard for Inkling sometimes to close out stocks, especially against characters with very versatile disadvantage states where you can't just up air them or back air them for free, which again in top tier can be pretty, like, that's a lot of characters, and especially like, or trading with hitboxes and suddenly Inkling takes way more damage than vice versa. Like, Ink is an amazing mechanic. It is so good. The fact that you can get more damage is like kind of broken, especially when it's on a frame 2 jab that is pretty hard to SDI out of, although a lot of people actually take more damage than they're supposed to, because if you just SDI away from the jab, you should only take about 20 to 25, not like the 30 that some people are taking sometimes. I don't really know. The consistency of this character at low percents is remarkable. The grab combos, the back air just being so... Back air is one of the best aerials, if not the best aerial in the entire game. It is so good, so safe, confirms into grab and jab, which are both amazing because they do so much damage, or they lead into more damage, or they throw you off stage. The edge trapping of this character between splat bomb and back air and down tilt is so good, and just grabbing, throw you off stage and do it again. You know, yes, you have to watch out for your resources with Ink, but that's not terribly difficult considering how many times Inkling will just win neutral, hit you off stage, just be like, okay, here's a little bit more Ink, I'm gonna be fine. However, this character can struggle with characters that control the ground really well, because Inkling's best thing about her, like, obviously is going to be her dashing and the fact that she goes solo on the ground, but characters like Rob and characters like Bowser are going to be able to give her a hard time. Bowser mostly because that rapid jab doesn't work, so you lose like your best ground tool in general, which is absolutely insane, and we saw what Leon did to Cosmos, like, no offense Cosmos, but like that matchup kind of sucks. And Rob having down tilt, which is amazing, and Gyro just being able to stuff Inkling. Like, if you stuff Inkling's game plan, it's going to be really difficult for them to kind of make it back, but at the same time, there's very few characters that blatantly stuff that game plan, so it's not going to happen too often. But again, sometimes the character just struggles to kill, and that is honestly the only reason why this character is outside of top 5 for me. Wolf is going to be my number 6 character. After a couple key nerfs, in my opinion, I thought this character was pretty top 5, and then the couple of key nerfs really hurt him. Blaster being a little bit slower is going to mean it's going to be a less effective zoning tool, and worse, just like up close, it's going to be a lot more punishable. You know, down smash nerf, like whatever, that happened in 3.0, not a big deal, but also the up B nerf is going to be huge. The fact that it's that much smaller and that much weaker is going to be very important, because now you can actually attempt to edgeguard Wolf when it's not side B range and actually kill him for it. It's not just going to beat out every single move for some reason that comes in contact with it, and even if you mess up, you're not going to die at like 50 for no reason, because I don't know why that move was so strong in the first place. It was kind of ridiculous. But like everything else, like, Wolf is an amazing character. I think he's better than Fox because he has amazing grab confirms. He can just kind of accidentally give you 60 with like, oops, I hit a landing, fair time to do landing nair, into like rising up air, into, oh, you jump to the right, into like back air. Like, back air is ridiculous. Why does the move auto cancel so early? I thought if anything that would be kind of nerfed, like the auto cancel window of back air, but it wasn't. That character's still really good. And yes, like back in 3.0, the air dodge cancel side B thing got hurt, which was a kind of big deal, but at the same time, that was kind of unfair anyway. And like, Wolf has still a good, because of his airspeed is so good, and because neutral air is so big, he's going to be able to get at a disadvantage kind of easily against most characters like don't have like really big disjoints. But unfortunately, the 5 characters above him kind of have pretty good disjoints. My number 5 character in this game is going to be Shulk. And yes, I know Shulk is so hard and it's so difficult to do all those things. And I know I talked about being applicable tournament characters, but you don't even have to do the dial storage for this character to be ridiculously good. You have access to both shield and smash art, which are going to alter combos for literally every single character. Depending on which character is going to depend which one you want to use to get out of your combos. The fact that you have jump art to make it back, speed art to just like play, you know, just like a really annoying fast ground game. Like, you know, at first I was like, man, the only people that play Shulk are Shulk players, which means he's too hard. But then seeing Salem get a win on, you know, the Buzz, like a reverse 3-0 with Shulk, that's going to be a big deal to me, because it proves to me, like, besides like the fact, like, results, because again, I don't really base things off of results, just the fact that he is able to make those type of, like, is he able to play solid? Like, as far as I remember when I watched it, Salem didn't switch into arts crazy fast. He wasn't doing any of the crazy technical Shulk stuff. He was just using his big sword and shield art, and then jump art when he needed to, and then buster art to get damage at low percent, and then smash art. But it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like he was malicking, he wasn't using the dial storage, he wasn't doing anything ridiculous. He was just playing a solid game with Shulk, and Shulk is able to play those solid games, and then he has the ridiculous stuff. So this character honestly could get even better than top 5, maybe top 4, maybe top 3, like arguably, like at peak quote unquote, he's probably the best character in the game, but he's too hard to ever be that spot. So in my opinion, top 5 is a really solid spot for him. And number 4, we have Lucina, and before you go, well, Air ESAM, they nerfed forward air and forward smash. It's like, yeah, the forward smash nerf is kind of a big deal, but also she killed like ridiculously early anyway, so losing 5 to 7% on that kill percent, not going to be the biggest deal, but also forward air is a buff and a nerf because now landing fair will combo into rising fair or side B for like 20 more percent, so that's going to be a lot more consistent damage for Lucina for getting those solid neutral wins that obviously she's always been able to because her neutral game is one of the strongest, if not the strongest in the entire game, with landing bear, landing fair. Like, this character's matchup spread is so solid. I can't imagine more than 1 or 2 characters that she loses to, because like anytime you talk to a Lucina, they're like, man, my character's not top 5, and it's like, okay, who do you lose to? And then you hear cricket chirping, just like, and that's it. Like, maybe I think Pikachu might beat Lucina, and I've thought that even before I beat Leo, because like quick attack is really good in the disadvantage, but at the same time, like, Lucina is so solid that even if she does have losing matchups, they're all definitely winnable. They're all definitely like doable for sure. There's not anything that's too difficult for Lucina to come back from, especially considering she has the comeback factors of back air off stage, of shield breaker, of just keeping you in advantage for forever, or rather in disadvantage for forever, because Lucina is fast, has really good aerials. This character is just so solid, the most like overall solid character in the game, just has slightly less ridiculous things than the 3 characters above her. At number 3, we're gonna have my boy Pikachu. Do I need to talk about Pikachu anymore? His disadvantage is one of the best in the game because of quick attack and landing dare and forward air and skull bash and everything. His combos are ridiculous. His kill confirms are ridiculous between nair down smash and nair up smash and up throw thunder and a bunch of little kill confirms and combos that I'm figuring out. His combos are just, he's so creative. I'm learning new things with him every single day. I literally found out a new combo at DreamHack like last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I guess, when this video comes out. Like, he's just ridiculous. His moves are so safe and neutral between back air and forward air, and down tilt Thunder Jolt is broken. Just, I love this character. Do I really need to talk more? He's just so good. His edge guarding, his everything is just perfect. He only really struggles with 2 characters in my opinion, maybe 3 at most, between like Peach, Ness, and like Snake is kind of getting annoying, but also MVD lives with me, so I can't tell if that's the Snake matchup or if that's the MVD is kind of just beating me matchup, because MVD is also a better player than me right now. Like, it's just, he's so good. I love this character so much. He does so well versus all the top tiers. Like, he arguably beats Joker, he arguably beats Lucina, he beats Shulk, he beats Wolf, he beats Fox, you know, loses to Peach, probably beats Pichu now, beats Palu, and that's like 8 of the top tier characters. Like, that's OD. That's crazy. He's broken. At number 2, we are going to have Joker, and I know my initial opinion of Joker was not super high. I don't remember if I tweeted it or I didn't say anything definitively, but I was like, I don't know, he seems like somewhere in high tier, like he's not that crazy. But then obviously we saw Leo do really well, and I was like, okay, well that's Leo being broken. But then I played the character, and it just seemed like everything just kind of works. Like, if you know the matchup, like you have to, it's not a character that you always have the same game plan. Like, you definitely have to play different in a bunch of different matchups, but at the same time, he has the tools to do everything. He can edge guard people, he can play campy versus players, he can play aggressive because he has 2 aerials that are safe on shield. I think nair and back air are both -5. His combos are so cool with the drag downs and the up beat being able to reset. His edge guarding is so strong. The fact that he has a frame 3 counter that you can hold means that projectile characters can't really camp you, because you just kind of counter the projectiles and then get Big Daddy Arson, and Arson just kind of just makes everyone's life hell. He does so much damage, he kills so early, literally every move becomes a kill move. Like, even up tilt's a kill move at like 120, and that's crazy. Back air becomes even better, you know, down air becomes a spike, and also you can combo into it, and also he has drag down combos into up smash and down smash, and those moves in Arsene are like ridiculous, and he's just so powerful. And also, I completely forgot to mention that like bullet down is like the best projectile in the entire game. That's almost impossible to mess with as any single character in the entire game. That move is actually borked, and it's something I need to learn how to do because I'm trying to play Joker, because, you know, hashtag tier whoring, because I want to win, right? You know, something that might be the case where he's not actually top 2 is I feel like not a lot of Jokers exist right now, so a lot of people don't know how to play against the character. But at the same time, just looking at his tools and looking at his speed and his frame data, he can choose not to get hit to the, not quite to the degree of Zero Suit, but similar to Zero Suit. He can play aggressive, he can do drag down combos, he can do so much damage, he can put you in disadvantage and hit you with down tilts or side Bs or just forward airs or dash attacks, and he just has so many things available to him that I can't imagine after playing this character just not him being not at the very least top like 7 or top 8. Like, maybe not top 2 as people learn the matchup, or maybe if down guns get nerfed at some point when the next character comes out. But like, man, this character is just insane. Like, wow, he is so good. But in my opinion, the best character in the game is going to be Snake. He was in the top 3 before with him, Peach, and Olimar, and Peach and Olimar have dropped off, so now kind of by default, Snake is the best character. He, the one nerf about him, the one thing that I can understand if he's not the best character is similar to Young Link, as I mentioned. He has to be on point at all times. You have to be playing so well with Snake to beat any of the top level players, because Snake has a plethora of even matchups. They're all doable, but he has about 20 even matchups according to like every Snake main. He doesn't just raffle stomp the entire cast. He has to work really hard in order to get his wins, but he has the tools to do so against every single character. Frame 1 grenade makes combos way more difficult. The fact that his kill potential is as high as it is crazy. He can combo grenade into nair, into dash attack. He has the weird buffer turnaround grenade thing, which is kind of weird. That is kind of unexplored other than Johnny Westside specifically, but he's not exactly a top Snake, so we haven't really seen it at top level yet. As I mentioned, his kill potential is ridiculous. Nikita, even after getting nerfed, is still the best game, like the best side B in the game, and Grenade for some reason is a buff that I mentioned in my top 5 buffs of the 3.0 patch, so he gets so many kills off of that. His shield like never gets broken anymore. He just does so much damage. It is so hard to come back from a stock deficit against Snake, because he starts trading with grenades, and suddenly you take 50% by the time you kill him, and then you're going to get thrown off stage once, get Nikita'd or down smash 2-framed, and you're just going to die. Grenade into up air is an amazing combo. Grenade to back air, which for some reason got buffed in 3.0. I don't know why that move got buffed. He didn't need it, but he got it. Nikita is so good. Grenades just are so good in general. They limit everyone's movement. So many characters, and especially so many players, have so much trouble dealing with grenades. And like, yeah, is he still kind of preying on matchup inexperience because the top level Snakes play completely different than the high level Snakes, so it's almost in entirely different matchups? Yeah, but at the same time, this character, even when people do know the matchup, is still having great success between Ally, NBD, and Salem. Like, all 3 players are doing well enough to the point where you have to consider that this character is kind of ridiculous, and they all play different. So could you imagine them playing like all of them together? Like, oh my god, all their different styles. You have NBD's like punish game and just like ridiculous reactions, and Nikita's, and then Ally's YOLO options that can just like his aggressive options and his add a shield downers, and then Salem's movement. Like, if you combine all that, you have a character who beats that character, except maybe Zero Suit. Like, sometimes Snake does struggle because he is slow, so if you have to catch the character, it can be kind of obnoxious, but at the same time, it's kind of hard because all those characters are like one-offs. Like, let's say, the Palutena of Nairo, or the Zero Suit of Mars, or the Inkling of Cosmos, where like they don't, like, none of the Snake players can get matchup experience versus those characters, whereas the other characters have a lot of matchup experience because the other Snakes in their region. Because when Snake is in disadvantage, sometimes it's kind of the same. It's like, oh, you might be reverse grenade, you might drop Nikita, you might fast fall air dodge, and if you hit that, you hit that, and it doesn't really matter what Snake is. Like, his disadvantage isn't amazing, but it's also not anywhere near bad. Like, people said that for forever, and I don't really understand why. I think I said it a little bit, like, it's not as great as it used to be, but also the fact that grenades have changed. Like, the more I've played against Snake, the more I watch Snake, it is just ridiculous. He is such a good character, in my opinion, the best character in the game, and as I've mentioned earlier, that doesn't mean that he's definitively the best. I just think he currently is. All the characters in the top 10 can kind of shift 1 or 2 or 3 places depending of like they're going higher or lower. Like, it's not a definitive tier list. I'm sure if I think that Pikachu's the best in like 2 months, it's not going to be like, oh my god, but you said he was 3rd. But I don't know. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm sorry that this was as it always is, so long, but again, there's so much to talk about with like 70 bajillion characters, and thank you everyone for watching. As always, social media, Panda and Partner stuff is down below. If you want me to flesh out any characters that I talked about, because I only talked about them for like a couple minutes each, if you want a full video on them, please let me know down below, and I will gladly do so. As always, social media, Panda and Partner stuff is down below, and I will see you all next time.